All right, hello everyone, and welcome back. My name is Cody, your trusted tribal tester, and we're here playing some five-color elementals in Modern. That's right, we're playing all five colors of elementals. This is a deck that we've been spending a lot of time on over the last month since Modern Horizons 2 came out. Lots of different builds running around. And while most people are kind of gravitating towards the four-color version of this deck, I really believe in the five-color version. And so we're going to be trying that out today. But before we get into it, we need to talk about the deck. So this is a list that is from, let me pull this up real quick. This is a list that Inagawa Hiroshi took to a first place finish in a Hareruya event. And so they got first place with this. For those of you that aren't aware, Hareruya is like the largest Magic the Gathering store in Japan. And so their meta is a little bit different than our meta is. But I really like this deck list, and a lot of the deck lists that come out of those events I think are super strong and like tend to kind of be decks that get picked up on here in the US a little bit later, or are just kind of some pretty cool variants on decks that already exist. So I've changed the sideboard up from that list a little bit, but the main deck pretty much keeping exactly the same. So let's go ahead and talk about this list. The other versions of five color elementals that are still running Ephemerate, right? There's the version that's five colors that's still on the Aether Vial package. There is the version that is four colors. We've cut Aether Vial running Ephemerate, and this one's trying to merge those two things together. We're running a lot of the classic elemental cards, but we're also really leaning into the evoke elementals and playing Ephemerate. So in our one drop slot, we got 4 Ephemerate. We also are running 4 Flamekin Harbinger. That's something that a lot of the other five color lists had cut, right? We were maxing out on Smoke Braiders, and we weren't running Flamekin Harbinger at all. And I really think that's a mistake. I think this deck really goes off when you're able to just churn through your deck with Risen Reef. Flamekin Harbinger is a great way to make sure that you see Risen Reef, right? We have 8 copies of Risen Reef, kind of, right? So if our opening hand has Risen Reef or Flamekin Harbinger, that makes me a lot more likely to keep that hand. So Flamekin Harbinger is really great at being able to find us Risen Reef, which was a problem I think the other version of the deck had, where we just couldn't find our Risen Reef. And the 4-color version, if you see over here, also is running the 4 Flamekin Harbingers into the 4 Risen Reefs. So that's something that I really like a lot. For 2-drops, we're not running any of the other kind of normal 2-drops you would expect. No Voice of Resurgences, no Unsettled Mariners, things like that. Those cards are kind of medium, right? Like, Mariner, very good against, like, Valakut, very good against any type of, like, spell-based combo deck that's looking to target you and kill you very quickly. But can be kind of clunky in the creature matchups, right? Like, Unsettled Mariner doesn't do a ton against Dragon Rage Chandler, against Murktide Regent, things like that. Same thing with Voice of Resurgence. They have their utility uses, but they're not like, oh, dude, we drew Voice of Resurgence, the game is over, right? But that will happen with Thunderkin Awakener. So we're just running Thunderkin because we can. That plus Lightning Skellemental is pretty much our like primary win condition. We are looking to attack with Lightning Skellemental, use Thunderkin Awakener to buy back Lightning Skellemental over and over again until the game is over. So another reason why I really like Flamekin Harbinger, because without it, I found it difficult to get that loop going and trying to protect your Thunderkin, right? So we've kind of evolved into a bit more of a protect the queen kind of style deck, which I like. And then we're just running the 1 Smoke Braider. Other versions of this list that I had seen were running a full play set, a full 4. And at first I was like, oh yeah, because you're running, you know, like, look at us. We're running 8 3-drops, 8 4-drops, 8 5-drops. Just makes sense that we can skip straight from 2 to 5, right? That we can go turn 2 Smoke Braider, turn 3. We can just hard cast Solitude, hard cast Fury. And if we're lucky, we can just cast as Horde of Notions. Or we can cast Omnath, play the fetch land as our 3rd land, get all the triggers, start going off from there, right? So that's another thing that can happen. But I felt that 4 was just too many. 23 lands and the 4 Smoke Braider led to a lot of really kind of medium draws, where you were really kind of flooded on mana, or you would keep the hand really dependent on Smoke Braider. Because you had 4 of them, there were a lot of hands that you would get where you'd have 2 lands and a Smoke Braider, and you'd be like, this hand's perfect, this is the hand we want. And then Smoke Braider dies to literally breathing on it, right? Like, this card is just so puny. Dies to Lava Dart, dies to Bolt, Push, dies to opposing Furies, Solitudes. Like, Smoke Braider just dies all the time. So I'm just going to run the 1. You know, it's a tutor target for Harbinger if we really need it to. Like, if we're mulling to 6 and we have 2 lands and a Flamekin Harbinger, we just might tutor up Smoke Braider to try to make that happen. But Like, I don't want to lean too heavy into it because it just dies to everything. And with the Prowess decks, the Murktide decks, with all those things running around a lot, I just don't want to lean into relying on Smoke Braider too much. And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the mana base. I think this mana base is super clean. I love the way that this mana base is built. I haven't had any problems with it in the little bit of off-camera testing that I've done. So really excited to talk about the mana base here. 3 drops. We have the 4 Lightning Skellementals, as you would expect. We have the 4 Risen Reefs. I don't need to talk about these too much. In the same way I don't talk about Ephemerate. For 4 drops, we are running 3 Omnath Locus of Creations. We're not doing the full playset because we're adding back in Omnath Locus of the Royal. So Omnath Locus of the Royal, really good at just ending games sometimes, can be a win condition in itself. And now that we have Ephemerate, like on turn 5, we can just go, all right, Omnath, hit you for 5. Ephemerate it, hit you for 5. On our next turn, hit you for 5 again. And then the game's over, right? So I really like Omnath Locus of the Royal. And then we're running 4 Griefs. This is the big thing that we're running Black Forest for Lightning Skellemental and for Grief. I like playing more aggressively. I think that's my play style as a player, is to really is to show my opponents a clock and make them answer it. That's the way it was back when I was playing Burn. That's the way it was when I was playing like those Luris decks back last year. Even when I'm playing things like Merfolk, I just really liked putting a bunch of power in play and saying, you have to answer this or else the game is over. So I really like using Ephemerate as a proactive spell. So turn 1, turn 2, if we Grief and Ephemerate Grief, the game ends. Like, I have not lost a game, or I mean, I'm sure there's one, but like it's like 99% to win if I Grief Ephemerate Grief on turn 1, because they just have nothing in hand or nothing like that is super impactful, and then we just have a 3/2 with Menace. And then if we can get Risen Reef out, like we're gonna catch up from that card disadvantage that we did by playing 4 cards on our first turn. But I really like Grief, and I really like using Ephemerate proactively. And this shores up a lot of these spell-based decks. Like, I was just having such a hard time against things like the Amulet Titan decks. And with Grief, I can get the prime time out of their hand. Even against things like Eldrazi against any Blood Moon decks, you can just Grief the Blood Moon out of their hand before they get a chance to play it. So I really like Grief for being a very proactive threat. And then, of course, we're running 3 Solitude, 3 Fury, with the 4th of each being over in the sideboard. Don't need to talk about these too much. And we have 2 Horde of Notions. Horde of Notions is great because it pitches to all of our Evoke Elementals, pitches to Grief, Solitude, Fury, and Endurance out of the sideboard. It is a big beater. It's a 5/5 trampling haste. So sometimes you can just close out a game with it. You get them to that 5 or under life total, you just slam down the Horde of Notions because they don't think anything has haste. Game's over. And the 5 mana playing things out of our graveyard, it does come up, especially as we see the format kind of polarize into hyper aggressive decks or decks that really have a lot of grind to them. And when we're up against those very grindy decks, there's been times where I've played Horde of Notions, gotten untap with it, activated it, and then the game's kind of over because we got back a Risen Reef, we got back a Lightning Skellemental, and it's just very, very strong. So Horde of Notions, mostly we're just going to use it to pitch for our Evoke friends, but it is not laughable to play it. It's not great, but it's not laughable to play Horde of Notions. Over here in the sideboard, we got the extra Solitude, the extra Fury for when we're up against those creature-based matchups and we really want to have all the removal. We have 3 Endurance, really great against Dragon Rage Chandler decks, really great against Mill, any deck that's really trying to play around in their graveyard. And it works so in a way that isn't counteractive to the game plan, right? So we can just flash in Endurance if we need to answer some graveyard shenanigans, and it's just a 3/4. Blocks a Dragon Rage Chandler super favorably. Is a pretty good beater, too, if we need it to be. So Endurance is pretty great. Pretty solid card. We're doing 2 Foundation Breakers, kind of our new quintessential artifact and enchantment removal. Really like this card. And I'm doing a single Masked Vandal. I'm going to be honest, I'm scared of Cauldron Complete. Cauldron Complete's a card that I'm scared of. So being able to exile it with Masked Vandal is the reason why we have it there. Yes, it's a little harder to enable than Foundation Breaker, but it's still an elemental, still triggers Risen Reef, so we can still pitch it to Endurance if we need to. Still costs 2 mana, but has that utility of being able to answer a Cauldron Complete. We also have 2 copies of Fulminator Mage for some Urza Sagas, for some Ink Moth Nexuses out of things like Hammer Time, and in fact, should we see any of that running around. Also good against Tron, in case somebody thinks they're going to spike us with that. And then we have 1 Forest. This is for those decks where we're expecting Blood Moon, or maybe decks or games where we expect to go a little bit longer. We really want the green source for our middle slot here. And then we have 3 Chalice of the Voids. Lots of 1 mana spells. Modern's gotten very efficient. So using Chalice on 1 is going to hose a lot of our opponent's strategies. And when it does, can just end the game. Really great against Hammer Time. Really great against the Murktide decks. Any deck that has Luris as a companion, Chalice on 1 is going to be very, very good. And we can get to that relatively easily. And then finally, we have Kahira, the Orphan Guard ourselves. The guarder of all the orphans. We love it. We get to run it for free. We're not really making any concessions to run it. It's just a freebie. We put it in our hand. It can pitch to Solitude, can pitch to Endurance in games 2 and 3 should we need that to happen. And it is a Lord. It can bump up Thunderkin Awakener, and then we can start buying back Griefs and Solitudes. And if we ever buy back a Solitude, I think the game ends. Or we buy back a Grief, like, it's going to be very hard for us to lose once we're doing that. So that does have that extra utility. Once we have Thunderkin Awakener in the deck, Kahira becomes a way to buy back some of these Evoke Elementals later on in the game, which is just fantastic. Can also buy back Foundation Breaker, Fulminator Mage, things like that. Now, let's get over to the mana base. So because we're running all 5 colors, we're leaning less into the Fetch Shock mana base that the 4-color deck was, which is also why we're running 3 Omnaths versus 4. We're not going to be able to consistently go play Omnath, here's a fetch land, fetch something out, start going off. So we are running 5 fetch lands. We're not running a ton though. We have the 4 Cavernous Souls, the 4 Reflecting Pool, and 4 Primal Beyond. Now you may be asking, why aren't we running Unclaimed Territory? Well, I'm going to be honest, the revealing an elemental is not a problem with Primal Beyond, because if we don't have an elemental in our hand, the Primal Beyond isn't really going to do anything. And it's not going to do something where Unclaimed Territory would, right? If we don't have anything to reveal. But it has the added benefit of being able to use to activate Horde of Notions, right? Horde of Notions has that activated ability. Primal Beyond can be used for the activated abilities of Elemental. So that's why we're not running Unclaimed Territory, we're running the 4 Primal Beyond. So we have a good 12 5-color lands, right? Cavern, Primal Beyond, and conditionally Reflecting Pool, right? Those are pretty great here. Going over to our non-gold lands, we got 1 copy of Breeding Pool. We have a Plains. We have a Sacred Foundry. So we have all 5 colors for the 5 colors in our shocks and our basics. And then we are running 3 Triomes, actually. We're running the Indatha Triome, we're running the Regarian Triome, and we're running the Savai Triome. All 3 are fantastic because this deck is less prone to needing to curve out in the same way that other versions of the deck do. We can really afford to play a Triome turn 1 tapped. Or we can fetch it out, right? We don't really need to have that turn 1 untapped land all of the time. Sometimes we do because we want to Ephemerate, we want to Flamekin Harbinger, but a lot of the times we don't really need to. Or if we do that on 1, chances are we're going to be getting a Risen Reef or a Lightning Skellemental, so we can afford to play something tapped on turn 2, or just later on in the game when we're going off with Risen Reef. And this is the reason why I was very hesitant with 3 Triomes, but after playing it, I just realized with Risen Reef, a lot of your lands past turn 3 are coming in off of Risen Reef. Like, you're going to try to cast Reef on 3, and then every turn after that, a lot of these lands are getting put into play tapped. I had several games where I just was able to set up Risen Reef, and I'm just putting the Triomes in tapped off of Risen Reef anyway, because those lands enter tapped, so really wasn't a downside at all. And then for fetch lands, we're running 3 Windswept Heath, 2 Flooded Strands. The list that they were running in the Hareruya challenge was running a bunch of 1-of fetch lands, and I'm sure that's maybe to play around Pithing Needle out of the Urza Saga base decks, you know, the food decks, the Hardened Scales, things like that, which I can respect. But for me, I wanted to make sure that all of my fetch lands can fetch all of my lands. So if you've noticed, Flooded Strand fetches out white and blue. Windswept Heath fetches out white and green. Sacred Foundry can get with both of them because it's a Plains. All 3 Triomes have Plains as a land type. So all of our fetch lands can fetch out all 3 Triomes. The Plains can be fetched out by both because they're Plains. And then even Breeding Pool, right? So Flooded Strand has the blue to fetch out Breeding Pool. The Windswept Heath has the green to fetch out Breeding Pool. So all 5 of our fetch lands can fetch out all 5 of our fetchables. So there's no, dang it, we drew a Windswept Heath and we really needed a Flooded Strand. The only time that's going to matter is when we bring in the Forest out of the sideboard. Then the Windswept Heath gets a little bit better, which is why we're doing 3 Windswept Heath, 2 Flooded Strand, and we're still diversifying it enough by not doing 4 and 1. We're doing 3 and 2 to play around Pithing Needle out of any of the Urza Saga's deck. Although, honestly, I think we could probably just do 4 Windswept Teeth, 1 Flooded Strand. I don't think it's going to matter too much. I'm going to be real with you. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see if that ever happens where we have a Flooded Strand and we need the Forest. I'm not too worried about it because I think we're going to pretty aggressively fetch out the Forest if we know we're playing against Blood Moon. So that is our deck. I'm really excited to play this list. I've been doing a little bit of testing with it, and we've been doing a lot of testing on stream with variants of this 5-color deck. I really like having the fast clock. I really like that we still have that utility with the evoke elementals, and we're still able to leverage Risen Reef and Omnath as these just absurd value engines. So with that, I think we're going to get into our league this afternoon. Playing the Flamekin Grief list, and here we go. We're getting queued up for match number 1. And as always, if you have any questions about the list, want my opinions on any Magic thing, you're always welcome to ask, and I will do my best to answer. Yeah, how Risen Reef... I was actually talking about that at my FNM, how like wild it is that Risen Reef is an uncommon. Like, that card is super, like, rare power level. I would love to play first. And let's reveal from our extra deck, Kahira. Ooh, okay, Luris of the Dream Den. Unfortunately, that doesn't help us out a lot. We have no idea what this could be. Could be Hammer Time, could be Mill, could be any number of things. This hand is super slow. Really, really slow. Like, the first thing we're doing is Skellementaling, but we can Solitude if we need to. So I think I'm going to keep this hand and just hope it's not Hammer Time. Risen Reef being a mythic wouldn't have even made you blink. Yeah, but it's great because it keeps the cost way down here. And here's what we're just going to do. We're just going to play Triome tapped, pass the turn. Oh, I forgot to mention this as well. All 3 of our Triomes are able to cast Lightning Skellemental. They all have either red or black as colors they can produce. So even if we draw kind of like a Risen Reef or another 3 or 4 drop here, I can Windswept Teeth, get another Triome, play Cavern, do Lightning Skellemental on turn 3. Something I really like about the mana base. The mana base is super clean. Running Elementals in Modern, and you're going to be running Slivers in Legacy, 5-color tribes. Yeah. Alright, Inquisition of Kozilek, so they're going to get our Lightning Skellemental here. That feels pretty bad, I'm going to be honest. But good news, let's just draw Thunderkin Awakener and punish him, right? Let's just draw Thunderkin. Thunderkin 1 time. Okay. So we did draw the Reef like I expected. Ooh, they have a stop in our draw step. I think this may be a Mill, like a Mill variant. I'm just going to Windswept Teeth here. I'm going to get a Regarian Triome. We already have the Swamp off of the Inditha Triome, so we're going to get the Regarian Triome here. I'm just going to pass the turn. No reason to get greedy here. I guess this is greedy because I'm not... it's fine. Okay, Grixis. There is a DRC. And they're just going to pass here. So that leads me to believe there is some removal coming our way. There's like, we're just going to play this Reef. Although it doesn't get Fatal pushed. It can't get Drown in the Locked. So, yeah, I think I'm fine just slamming down this Risen Reef here. Blue, whoop, messed up there. Oh no, we had green off of the Triumph that we could have done. Okay. So, here comes the boy. Alright, Locus of the Royal isn't awful here. It can be a removal spell for Dragon Rage Chandler. I don't like to commit Solitude unless we have Ephemerate, but I also don't want... You know, it's like this weird thing, right? I want Ephemerate for Solitude, but they don't have 2 targets, but I don't just want to let them sit on it, right? Okay, Expressive Iteration is a card. It's one of those deceptive things, right? Like, because they play this, and I go, oh, sweet. You know, this is a bit of a setup turn for them. But... like, lots of really solid stuff here. Interesting, they put the Ragavan in the graveyard here, so are they not anticipating playing it here? Because just playing oh, because they know we have the Solitude, and we could just Solitude it, I guess, but, what'd they exile? Oh, the Bloodstained Mire? Okay. I just didn't see it pop up in the little window. Okay, they're going to fetch here. So now they're going to push it here. Let's see if they get a black source and push it. Yep. That seems to be what's going to happen here. Oh, no. Or just bolt. Yeah. Lightning bolt also does the same thing here. This will be the 4th card type here. So if I want to Solitude it for 1, now would be the time for me to Solitude it for 1. But I think I'm going to let this go. We're going to see what we draw here. They are tapped out now, so we don't have to worry about anything getting countered or removed. So I may wait to see if we draw Ephemerate off of Risen Reef. We do draw a Reflecting Pool, which is not bad, so I could set up with Omnath here. But I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm just going to play this Reflecting Pool. I'm going to play Reef. And then let's just see what we can get here. We can still flash in the Solitude if we need to. But here we're really setting ourselves up. There we go. We got the Ephemerate. Okay. Now we're cooking. We're going to be drawing 10,000 cards, doing all kinds of fun things here. So we have Protection for Risen Reef here. And Ephemerate kind of just reads draw 2 if they want to go to remove it. We also have Solitude here. So if they decide to commit a threat, we're going to Solitude, Ephemerate, Solitude. And we're just going to be way out in front. It just depends on how they navigate this. If they sequence things in a way that makes me kind of misplay, because I really want to do Solitude and Ephemerate Solitude or Ephemerate Risen Reef in response to removal. So we're really going to have to see how they sequence their plays here. Yeah, it's a better Ephemerate, strictly better Ancestral Recall. It's going to draw us 4 cards, right? I love it. So let's see. Let's see how they sequence here. So they know the top card of our library. They're gonna go for an Inquisition of Kozilek here. So if I go Ephemerate in response to this, they could just remove the Risen Reef here. So I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to evoke. Well, yeah, I want to use my stuff here. So I'm going to evoke this Solitude out here. Because the only card this Inquisition can get is Ephemerate, so they're going to take the Ephemerate. So, and again, they did not leave up the proper mana here to interact with us in terms of counter spells. So let's see what we get here. All right, another Solitude, pretty good, because we're going to be able to cast it next turn with our lands. So we're just going to donk that out of here. And I think I'm going to Ephemerate. I think I am. I think I'm just going to Ephemerate it here. If they want to do a Lightning Bolt, cool. They spent a Lightning Bolt on Solitude when they could have done one on the Reef instead. So we're going to get another trigger here. Sacred Foundry goes in the battlefield tapped. And now, like I'm feeling super solid right now. They're not going to answer any of our things. That Inquisition kind of does nothing. And now we have an Omnath here. So we can also grab Kahira, play Kahira. That's another option that we can do. It's just going to depend on how our opponent plays out the rest of their turn. They do know that we have the second Solitude here, so they may just pass on Murktide Regioning. Yeah, so they're... Okay, they got all the colors. They can't Fatal Push Reef. They can't Fatal Push Solitude. We'll just have to see. And it looks like they're just going to be passing the turn here. So I think here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Ephemerate the Risen Reef. I don't care too much about attacking for 1. And there's really no reason to attack with to Ephemerate the Solitude here when we can just attack with the Solitude. So, but they did go ahead and fetch out that Swamp. So that makes me a little hesitant they have some kind of instant speed interaction here. Second Ephemerate. All right. With Omnath, we're actually real. Oh my goodness. Third Ephemerate. All right. This game is just all the way over. Yeah, let's go for an Omnath here. Let's just slam down Omnath. I don't see why we wouldn't. Don't see why we wouldn't just slam down the boy. And then let's just dome him. And then now we get the Windswept Heath. We can make and we got a Grief. Grief is fantastic. All right, so we're gonna go Windswept Heath. I'm gonna put a counter on the Risen Reef, because I think Risen Reef is the thing we're not going to be ephemerating a ton, and maybe we can get it out of bolt range if we're lucky. So let's go ahead and fetch. I think I'm just going to grab a Plains here. I have no reason to do anything else. We'll put another counter on. Do I care? Yeah, let's just put it on the reef. Let's just make this reef giant. And let's just go to combat here. And I'm just going to attack in. Okay, no blocks from our opponents. No Snapcaster Mage into Lightning Bolt. That was another thing I was a little nervous about. And now we have 2 Ephemerates. And we have triggers up. I do have lethal in Omnath triggers. That is right. Expressive Iteration. I think I'm going to let this resolve. And we're going to do that. We're going to Ephemerate this Omnath here later. I don't want to get blown out. So, yeah, what do they exile? It just doesn't... Okay, they exiled the Steam Vents. Is it the Steam Vents or is it the Dragon Rage Chandler? This is not Canister's deck. He's done a ton of work with the Elementals list. This is a little bit different. This list actually comes out of Japan from a Hareruya tournament out in there. But no doubt Canister's put in a lot of work on just the 4-color Elementals list. But let's see. What do we want post-sideboarding here? So they're running a lot of removal, and they're just kind of doing the Dragon Rage Chandler monkey stuff. So I think we're going to do Solitude and Fury. And we could just bring in Chalice. Just put in a bunch of Chalices on one. Might not hurt. But I kind of am leaning towards Endurance. Just because I know that they have Foundation. Or I'm leaning towards Endurance because they have the Murktide Regents. Because they have the Dragon Rage Chandlers. Although I guess we didn't see Murktide Regents. So we don't know if they have it. But I think it's a pretty safe bet to assume that they're going to. What do we want to cut down on here is just the question. I think maybe Grief is probably one, but I don't know. I really like doing Grief early. We can really interact with some of these cards. Might be worth it to trim on some of the... I don't know. I think I'm actually going to stay on 3 Fury, and I'm just going to trim another Omnath here. This is probably not correct, but I think I'm going to trim a Thunderkin and trim a Grief. Probably not correct, but that's always my cop-out. When I don't quite know what to sideboard, I just kind of trim a little bit here, because none of our cards are bad in this matchup, right? But I definitely I like to trim when I'm not super duper confident with some of the more medium cards. All right. Oh, dog, we can turn. We don't have the black card to Ephemerate Grief with, but I was like, man, we're about to just get gross if we want to with Grief and Ephemerate. We do have to be worried about just turn 1 Thoughtseize or a turn 1 Inquisition of Kozilek here, but we have the option to go Grief, Ephemerate Grief, and then we have a 6/6 tramp or a 3/3 with double strike, so we have 6 damage in play. We also just have good mana, so I think I'm going to keep this hand. Probably, this could be a mistake. This hand could be too slow, too reactive. Maybe we need to mulligan into something more proactive, but my problem with discard decks is I don't want to mulligan too much, because if I mold a 6 or 5 and they just Inquisition me, then cool, it's like I've molded a 3 or 2. So, doesn't feel great here. So, how have the main deck Griefs been for you? I love main deck Grief. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to do the turn 1 Grief, Ephemerate Grief to really get all of that value in. You do have the option to do it later and just hard cast it, and sometimes that's pretty good. But I actually think I'm gonna go for the Grief, Ephemerate Grief here. I think that's just gonna be my best bet. And I think I'm gonna do that with the Sacred Foundry here. I think I'm gonna fetch out a Sacred Foundry. And I think this is just gonna be the move here. Let's just make sure they don't have anything. And the good news is they played Bloodstained Mire, so we get to take a look at their hand here, see what removal they have. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Fetch on the stack. We're going to Ephemerate. So now they need to have 2 pieces of interaction here. Otherwise, we're gonna just Grief everything out of their hand. All right, we're gonna take the Bolt. So we know they have K command and a bunch of lands. So that's unfortunate for them. And we'll take the K command. So we know they have Polluted Delta, Scalding Tarn. Yeah, like this did happen, and it's great. They have nothing right now. They got absolutely nothing. But yeah, just casting it turn 4, like against things like Primeval Titan, against some of these decks that want to go real long, we just don't care, right? And they choose to Thoughtseize the Fury here. Makes sense. The good news is we know that they drew Thoughtseize for turn, and their hand is Scalding Tarn, Polluted Delta. So I'm not gonna cast the Ephemerate here. There's no reason to. We should just attack for 3. All right, we drew a Plains. Not great, I'll be honest, but this does allow us to cast Kahira here in a little bit. I'll just say no to this Primal Beyond. We still get to kind of pretend we have Ephemerate up, and we'll just donk in with Grief. We'll know what they drew based on what they do this turn. If they go land, put Lurrus in their hand, we know that they drew just another blank. All right, so there's the Tarn. And they're passing. Thunderkin Awakener would be pretty good here. Problem is we don't really have anything we can buy back. We did have to exile the Grief, or the Lightning Skellemental to do the Grief plan. So I think here, I'm just going to go to combat. I'm just going to attack with Grief. If they want to remove it, cool. Because then it means I can Thunderkin it back here in a little bit. I'm going to go Cavern. I'm going to name Elemental. And because they know about that from the Thoughtseize. So now they only know about the Fury. They don't know we have Plains or Thunderkin Awakener. Hello, friend. For those of you that none of you would know. Yesterday, Rebecca and I adopted 2 cats. We are super excited. We've been missing having cats around the house for the last couple of months, and we adopted 2 friends. They're about 5 years old. We absolutely love them. They've been really great to have around the house. All right, they put Lurrus in their hand here, and they played the Polluted Delta, so we know they have Lurrus and an Unknown in their hand. Yeah. Oh, we love them. We've been missing kittens, and so having 2 of them, and they're both like lap cats. They both love attention and being pet. It's just fantastic. You know, cats is becoming increasingly like a real deck. It's not quite like competitive, but like it's starting to get there. Do I consider myself a cat dad? Yeah, I would say so. Let's go to combat first, because I think I'm just gonna play Omnath here. Yeah, I would consider myself a cat dad. Not to get too heavy on a Magic the Gathering stream, but you know, I teach full time. That's my job, and so for me, like, I love working in the school system. You know, being a teacher for kids, but it really kind of puts a lot of things in perspective. And don't think children is something that like I personally want in my life. So I get enough of that fulfillment from helping my students. So being able to be like a cat dad seems nice. If that makes sense to y'all. Hey, that is fantastic. Yeah, you know, I have some mixed feelings working in the public school system, especially this like last year, but I will say I'm not going to complain too much because again, I was able to like work this whole last year. Didn't have to worry about like job security or things like that. So very much in debt to the public school system. Oh, thank you so much, Durset4, for your follow. I really appreciate you. Which, speaking of Twitch things, I updated all my channel points this month earlier. So I have little fun things like you can change the color of the LED lights, fun stuff like that. Okay, so they didn't play Luris here. They just played Blackleaf Cliff's Pass. That makes me nervous. Like, do they have some big bomb removal here? Because we have lethal if they don't have something. They could have Cryptic Command. Let's just go to combat. Let's just make them have it. All right, let's see. Let's see what they got for me here. Cats are great. Oh, we have Cozy's return. Yeah. Cozy's return is a very good one. So they're gonna be at 1. What do I want to do here? I think I'm just gonna play Thunderkin Awakener, and no, I'm gonna play Kahira here. Let's play Kahira. I don't think it's gonna matter a ton. Thunderkin has haste, so they're gonna have to have another Cozy's return or like a Cryptic Command or something. But we know they have Luris and 2 unknowns in hand. We know nothing else in their hand. So they can play Luris, buy back the Mishra's Bauble to start trying to draw their way back into it. Good news is we still have Fury. So we can kind of Fury down this Luris. Yeah. So that seems to be their plan here, is use Luris to keep themselves alive. But we do have Fury, so I think that's going to be the plan. We'll just Fury him down, and then we can swing in for lethal. They have 1 card. They'll have a second, maybe, after it gets to our turn. So 2 cards is a lot, but they have to answer three creatures here with 2 cards. So yeah, they're going to Unholy Heat the Omnath, which is fine. And now they'll have 1 card to deal with both Kahira and Thunderkin. And I don't think they will. They don't have money. They don't have mana for Cozy's return. There's no double removal spell here. So I think I'm just going to evoke Fury. Pitching Fury. And then, yeah, let's go Thunderkin Awakener, and let's see if they have dose removal spells. And with Kahira, if they let us go to combat, we'll get to buy back Grief, which is super nasty. So let's make them have it, I suppose. I don't know what 1 card answers both of these. Okay, there is not. So yeah, cool. We are 1-0 right now in our league. We had a nice win over Grixis. Yeah, I guess Grixis controlled. Maybe Grixis Delirium. Grixis Value Town. Here's the thing, right? We don't really have names for these like Dragon Rage Chandler decks. Like these kind of removal hand attack decks. Like we just been calling it like the Rakdos deck. So it's just the Grixis deck. Because I wouldn't call it Grixis Control. It is being a little more aggressive for Grixis Control, but I don't know. I'm not the one who comes up with the naming systems. And let's see. We'll reveal Kahira from our extra deck. School systems are a bit different, though, being on another continent, but I do love working with kids. Absolutely. Yeah, Grixis Luris works too. All right, we got 2 lands. We can go turn 1 Grief. That is a thing we can do. I don't know if I want to here. We don't have Ephemerate. There's no real reason to 2-for-1 ourselves. I am going to keep this hand in the hopes that we can maybe draw an Ephemerate. We do have Thunderkin plus Skellemental, so if we can get to 3 lands, we can do that. Oh, Gemstone Caverns. Maybe I should Grief turn 1. Maybe I should Grief turn 1. Let's see what they exile for this Gemstone Caverns. So we already know, though, they're at 5 cards in hand. Putting them to 4 might not be too bad here. And I think here I'll fetch out a Savi Triome on turn 1 and then pass. Ooh, Brazen Borrower. Okay, this is the Cascade deck. So Grief is going to be very solid. I think I can afford to give it 1 turn here. I think I'm going to give it 1 turn. We'll go Flooded Strand. Yeah, it could be Living End too. Could definitely be Living End. I'm going to get the Savi Triome. and then I'm just going to pass the turn here. I think we can afford to give it maybe one turn. The only two CMC things, or two casting cost things that they'll be playing is probably Stomp with Bone Crusher Giant or Petty Theft with Brazen Borrower. And I don't think there's a world where we get super punished for that. So let's see here. Let's go to our turn. No Ephemerate, but we do have Reflecting Pool, so we are setting up turn 3 Lightning Skellemental. Oh yeah, Fire Ice, because its CMC is combined 3 when you do things like Cascade. Yeah, that's also true. I don't know what I want to do here. I really want to save this Lightning Skellemental, but I feel like we just gotta go for it. I just think they're going to turn 3 Crashing Footfalls, get some Rhinos, and that seems very bad for us, but I kind of just want to go Thunderkin here. I guess I can do both, right? I guess doing Grief doesn't make me where I can't Thunderkin. Honestly, the worst thing to happen to Magic was when they started calling decks the color combination and the card name. I definitely kind of agree with that. To a certain extent, I really like concisely being able to know what deck people are talking about. And sometimes when people say things like, you know, I guess like Ponza, right? You're like, what? Nothing in the name Ponza really screams, oh, this is playing land destruction. But, however, when somebody says Ponza, I know exactly what they're talking about. Versus when someone says the Rakdos deck, I don't quite know what they're talking about, right? Because there's different builds of Rakdos. So, definitely a bit of a mixed one for me. So, they're going to stomp our Thunderkin here. That makes me want to really just, yeah, let's just Grief here. Let's just Grief. Because this is clearly not Living End, and I want to get those Crashing Footfalls out of here. Alright, they got both. So, we know they have Force Negation, so that's good for Ephemerate things. I think I'm going to get Shardless Agent, because that's a creature. So, well, but that's a little bad news for us. We will get to go Breeding Pool Risen Reef here, but then they're just going to have 2 4/4s in play. So that's not great for us. But good news, Rhinos don't end the game super quickly. It is 8 power, but we have our Solitude. I think we'll be getting pretty close to hard casting it here before too long. And then if we ever do get Ephemerate, it's just going to be nasty, because now we know about the Force Negation. So we'll just wait Ephemerate on their turn, and then we'll be able to play around Force that way. But not looking super great, because they do still have that Bone Crusher Giant they can play off of the adventure. Good news is Bone Crusher only deals damage when it's the target of a spell, not the target of an ability. So we can Solitude it, not take any damage. We can Fury it, not take any damage. Alright, so they are going to Violent Outburst on our turn. Alright, and Omnath is fantastic, because next turn, if we hit any land here, we'll be able to cast it. We got 2 draws to get a land, which would be fantastic. And another Omnath. Well, that's good. We can pitch it to Solitude here, which isn't the worst thing in the world. And then that also triggers Risen Reef. We have double Omnath, so pitching 1 doesn't feel bad, versus if we only had the 1. Like, if we had hit a land there and we just had 1 Omnath and Solitude, I would be a lot more hesitant to Solitude away a Rhino here. Versus now, I don't feel bad at all. And then there's a Crashing Footfall. Let's see what else they got here. What is Release to the Wind? Oh, that's the one where you, like, exile a thing. Yeah, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Oh, so they can do that with Shardless Agent. Got it. They can Release to the Wind their own Shardless Agent and then recast it. Okay. Wow, that's really strong. Oh, great, but it revealed all these cards. We know they have Force Negation, and that's it. We know they have Force and 2 Unknowns in hand. I'm going to Solitude here. I will pitch an Omnath. I'm fine with this. Let's soak up some damage. get some. There we go. There's a cavern. We'll name Elemental. And now we'll get to cast Omnath here. Hopefully we just draw a fetch land, and then we can start going off. Get a bunch of triggers, do a bunch of things. Although we are empty-handed, so they have an answer to this Risen Reef. That might be not great. Although I feel like if they had an answer, they would have done it right then. Okay, Ketria Triome tapped. Oh, they have a Shardless Agent. Oh, gross. Or no, or maybe a Petty Theft here. This could just be a Petty... Oh, they're going to cast the Bone Crusher Giant. Okay, never mind. Not too bad. Not the worst thing in the world here. And there's a Grief. I can also just hardcast this Grief. We can get the Force Negation out of their hand. If they have another spell, we can get that out of their hand. Grief does block Bone Crusher Giant pretty well. But I think I just need to go for Omnath here. I think just going for Omnath is going to be a pretty good thing for us, because we'll get all the triggers here. And if we hit a fetch land, we can just... well, we can't cast Grief off of the Omnath triggers, but that's okay. And Reef hits a Harbinger. Pretty good. Let's get a land. Another Reef. Not the worst. We'll just pass the turn here. Okay, we're feeling good. We have a redundant Risen Reef. We got a Flamekin Harbinger. I doubt they're going to have double removal spell here, so we're either going to survive with the Omnath or survive with the Risen Reef, either of which is great. If we get 2 Risen Reefs in play, I'm feeling good. If they remove our Risen Reef, we have a second one to redeploy. So no matter which creature they remove here, should they have a removal spell, I'm not feeling super beat up about it. We'll have to see what we draw here. Part of me is very tempted to just play the Risen Reef, play Flamekin Harbinger, start to go off here. But I'm kind of worried about... Although I guess at this point it really doesn't matter with the... Because if they have Shardless Agent, they would just cast it here. If they have Violent Outburst, they can cast it in response to a Grief. So I guess there's no real reason to do Grief here. They're offering a trade. I can trade Omnath for Bone Crusher Giant, and then if they have another Bone Crusher Giant, they get to just kill the Reef. So I think I'm just going to take 8 here. And then hope we can kind of maybe hit some lands, and then Omnath can gain us 4 life. If we hit a fetch land, I may just be tempted just to leave it, and then just gain 8 life from our turn and then their turn. That may be something I end up doing as well. Because our life total is getting a little low. Getting a little low here. But the good news is the rest of this deck isn't, like, as you can see, it's a lot of lands. Like, Subtlety's pretty good, but... Yeah, they could just have a Subtlety up, and they're just gonna... Okay, Reflecting Pool is good. That gains us 4 life. I think I'm just gonna go Reef here. I think we're just gonna slam out this Risen Reef. And that just seems like the plan to me. Let's draw some cards. Hopefully we can hit some lands here. Some lands would be fantastic. There we go. Sacred Foundry tapped. We'll gain 4 life. Feels very good. I could Flamekin Harbinger for Fury here. And with Fury, I can, like, donk down a Rhino. I could also just go Reflecting Pool, play Thunderkin, but Thunderkin doesn't buy anything back currently. Doesn't buy Grief back, doesn't buy back Solitude. Because we would need to get Kahira in play, and that's 6, so we need to get 8 mana, and we only have access to 6 here, so I don't think that's really going to happen, so I think I am just going to go Flamekin Harbinger. I'll sandbag the land here, just in case. Like, if we draw a fetch land off of Risen Reef, then I'm going to play the fetch land here, because then we can gain 4 more life on their turn, and that's what's going to keep us alive here, is the Omnath gaining us a bunch of life. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to get Fury here. And then I'll pitch Thunderkin, put in the Fury, maybe donk down a Rhino. Okay, so we'll sandwich the Harbinger trigger here. All right, we got Grief. Grief ain't awful. It triggers both Risen Reefs, which is pretty good. Yeah, let's use the ability. I think I'm gonna get a Fury here because we can actually cast Fury. Although they do have we know they have the Force Negation, so they can just hard cast it here to counter an Ephemerate, which does feel pretty bad. Let's go ahead and just do Fury here. Or no. Oh, now we're in a spot where if I... Well, no, because the Ephemerate's going to get countered anyway. So, might as well just evoke this Fury. Because I was going to say, if we hit Ephemerate off of the Risen Reefs, I would want to Ephemerate it. But it's just going to get Force and Negationed anyway. So, nothing too great here. I think I'm just going to hit the Bone Crusher Giant. Because that can be released to the wind. Although release to the wind is an instant. So, maybe I just go... If they're going to release to the wind, they're going to release to the wind. Let's just hit the token. Because the token also has Trample, which is a problem. Alright, Triome will come into play tapped. We'll get all the mana costs here. Get a Smoke Braider. We can cast Smoke Braider. Hit him for 4. We're going to have to evoke our friend here. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to play the Reflecting Pool. We're going to dome him for 4. We're just going to throw out this Smoke Braider. We're going to get some Risen Reef triggers. Okay, Skellemental's pretty good. So is another Risen Reef. Doesn't feel bad. We're going to grab Kahira here with our remaining mana. And then I think I'm just going to pitching Grief here. Let's take a look at that hand. See what they got. And we're going to draw 2 cards off Risen Reef. I'm feeling pretty good here. Oh, they just conceded. They just scooped it up. They got nothing. All right. That felt really good, y'all. I'm going to be honest. That felt fantastic. Like, we did all the things here. We're going to bring in 3 Chalice of the Voids. Because we can Chalice on 0. They can't Crashing Footfalls anymore. That's the whole point of playing the deck. I really liked the Grief. The Griefs, I think, came in solid here. Fury and Solitude are both interesting because they both pretty much only hit 1 Rhino. So I don't quite know if I want to do both. I think I am going to bring in both here, but that also means I'm having to cut 5 cards from my deck, and I really don't want to cut 5 cards from my deck, I'll be honest with you. Because they all were very solid here. Do I just do the trim plan again? Do I just, like, trim a Grief? And I guess, do I even want 4 Fury, 4 Solitude? I don't know if I do, because Solitude really is the one that's a little harder to cast. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just going to trim a Grief, and we're just going to, like, try to go in on the just the Chalices and hope the Chalices are enough. And I think I'll trim a... No, Omnath's really good. I don't want to trim any Omnaths. I guess I'll trim a Thunderkin Awakener, and maybe I'll trim a single Horde of Notions. I like leaving the Hordes in because they pitch to all of our Evoke friends, but is this a Horde of Notions matchup? You know, it might be, actually. I guess it depends on just if we're dead or not by the time we get to cast it, right? Because buying back cards over and over again seems really solid when their removal is very much 1-for-1. They don't have a lot of 2-for-1 removal. Like, being able to buy side back with Horde doesn't seem bad. I just don't know if we're going to get to turn 6, right? Because we're going to cast Horde on 5 and then activate it on 6, and I just don't know if that's going to happen a lot. All right, we got 2 lands here. We do have Flamekin Harbinger. We have Ephemerate. We have Lightning Skellemental. Like, I kind of like this hand. It is a little clunky because we need to hit a 3rd land. What I could do here is... I think I am keeping it here. Just because we have lands, we have lots of good things to be doing. Oh, they're mulling to 5. Do I just want to find Grief here? Do I just maybe Harbinger up a Grief, and then I can just pitch it using Lightning Skellemental? Is that just the plan here? I think it is. I think that's 100% the plan. Okay, ooh, but there's a Thunderkin Awakener. I really like Thunderkin Awakener because it can buy back this Lightning Skellemental, and that's another way for us to win the game is like, let's just put a super fast clock on him. Oh, that's tough, because I could just fetch out a Triome here, pass, or I could play Primal Beyond, play the Flamekin Harbinger. Oh, they have disconnected. I imagine that's actually a technical issue. I don't see them rage quitting on the first turn. I guess they did mull to 5, so maybe. Yeah, I think with 4 cards in their hand, I think we should just go Primal Beyond. We'll reveal the Harbinger. We're gonna cast the Harbinger, and I think we're just gonna go grab Grief here, and then we'll pitch Grief to Lightning Skellemental. Did they rejoin? They did. Okay. Yeah, we'll just grab Grief here. And then we can pitch. I will have to pitch the Skellemental to Grief, which feels bad. But, I mean, they're at 5 cards in hand. They're going to be at 4 after they play this land. And that just feels really solid. Just feels really good. And we have the Ephemerate, so not a lot they're probably going to be doing other than force of negating it. But if they do, we have the Ephemerate just to get it out of their hand. So, feels pretty solid. So let's go Windswept Heath. Let's just go ahead and crack it here. I'm going to grab the Arid Mesa, maybe. The Sacred Foundry. Arid Mesa is the fetch land. Yeah, let's just get the Sacred Foundry here. Sets up a future Lightning Skellemental here. And if by some miracle they have a Blood Moon, we'll just take it with the Grief. They could have a Subtlety here. Subtlety would be pretty bad. But, again, Subtlety would also mean they're at 2 cards in hand. They do have the Subtlety. They had the Subtlety here. We'll take Brazen Borrower then. And then we're going to Ephemerate. And then good news is, next turn we can Ephemerate the Flamekin Harbinger and then go grab something better. Take the Subtlety. Okay, so we know they have just the Island and the Misty Rainforest. And we'll get in there for 1. And again, there's no point in trying to grief them here just because we know that if they have either of their friends, they're just going to play it here. Like, they're just going to cast the Shardless Agent here if they have it. Or if they don't, they can cast the Violent Outburst in response to the Ephemerate trigger. So no real reason in us trying to do that. Yeah, so they did bring in Blood Moon. We do see the Blood Moon here. They also have Anger. They brought in an Anger of the Gods. And they do have Fire Ice and Cryptic Command. Okay. So Fury would be pretty cool here. Maybe I just do that, right? Do I just grab a... There's no point in Ephemerating the Grief. But maybe I Ephemerate the Harbinger. I go get a Fury. I knock out a Rhino. Maybe I knock out the Shardless Agent here. And then we're able to really attack in. Or yeah, you know what? I'm just going to attack with the Grief here. And Grief can mean that I get to knock out Rhino and Shardless Agent, which feels pretty good. So let's just do that. Let's just go get a Fury here. And I'll swing in with Grief. They should also block with Shardless Agent. That's the smartest block. If they block with the other Rhino, I'm killing both Rhinos, which is fantastic. So I think their best bet is to go, yeah, Rhino, Shardless Agent. I don't really get to have the like super awesome two for 1 that I want. I do get to like kill Shardless Agent, deal 1 damage to the Rhino, and then I can Fury down that same Rhino, but like it's fine. I was really hoping they'd block double Rhino, but them seeing the Fury does not instill much confidence. So, yeah, we'll do 2 and 1 here. We'll knock out the Shardless Agent. We are decently close to getting Kahira, too. And once we get Kahira, this Thunderkin Awakener can start buying back Grief, which is super fun. Which I actually think may be worth it here. I think I'm just going to play out the Thunderkin Awakener. Because I don't think we're going to get to this Omnath anytime soon. And since we don't have to... Yeah, I'm just going to pass here. I'm cool taking another cool 8, because maybe what I can then do is get off with the Risen Reef, right? If I draw the right land, I can just cast Risen Reef. So we know nothing that's in their hand anymore. They just played the island. Yeah, because like what I can do here is if I draw a land, I can play Risen Reef, then evoke, and then I'm getting some card advantage off of it. Or I just draw another Fury, and it just does not matter. Fortunately, we're in a rough spot here. We can't actually cast our spells, which is a little stinky. Just a little bit stinky. I do think I need to get a Fury out here, though. We need to answer a Rhino. And I think I'm just going to get in here for 2. I'm not blocking a Rhino. I'm not chump blocking because it really doesn't do much unless it's keeping me alive. And 4 damage isn't going to kill me right now. Scalding Tarn. Attack with the Rhino. We're at 5. I want to draw either a Reef or another red spell for Fury. One or the other would be what I want. And they're just going to pass the turn here. So we don't know if they have anything or not. They could have a Violent Outburst. Okay, Flooded Strain's cool. Although we're going to be in trouble because we're going to have to fetch Shock here. Yeah, and get the Breeding Pool. That leaves us dead to Stomp, too, even. Ugh, that feels bad. But I think we have to. Because I think we're just dead if we don't. Okay, let's get a red card off of this Reef. If you got Stomp, play it. They do. They have the Stomp. Fire, yeah. Okay, well, that'll do it. Okay, we ephemerated Grief and we lost, so maybe that's on me. They did just draw into Shardless Agent turn 3, though, which was a little stinky. But that is what it is. We see they are running Blood Moon. I guess the question is, how scared am I of the Blood Moon? I think I'm a little bit scared of it. So let's bring in the Forest and a single copy of Foundation Breaker here. And then I think I'm going to cut the other Horde, and I'll cut a Lightning Skellemental. Could cut a land. That is something I could do, but since I brought in the Forest, but I just don't want to, I'll be honest. I just don't want to. Okay, let's reveal Kahira. And we are on the play this time, which should help out a lot. No lands, so we're going to mulligan. 3 lands and plenty of things to do. So let's keep this. I think what? Do I throw a land back here? Because I like having Fury, Thunderkin, Ephemerate. I think I do. I think I'm going to throw back a land. I don't want to throw back a land, though. Maybe I shouldn't have kept this hand. We don't actually have Ephemerate mana. Maybe do I throw back the Omnath? Because I kind of like maybe keeping these 3 and then throwing back Thunderkin Awakener. Like, that doesn't seem too bad. I think that may be what we do here, is we kind of have to just kind of reckon that the fact that we don't have a ton going on for us right now. So let's do that and pass. And if we can draw a land that taps for white, that'll be fantastic, because then we can use it for Ephemerate, and then we'll have the 4 mana we need for Omnath, which feels super good. Okay, second Omnath. That's cool, so now we can leave an Omnath in our hand. Still do the other things here. We'll name Elemental. Although I guess we're leaving ourselves pretty soft to a Blood Moon. If they do just have turn 3 Blood Moon, we'll be in trouble. Now, isn't that funny? It then puts me in a spot where I gotta choose. Do I want to fetch out, like, if I draw a Wooded Foothill or a Windswept Heath, do I fetch out the white for Ephemerate, or do I fetch out the green for just in case we draw Foundation Breaker? Okay, we drew Harbinger here. Harbinger ain't bad. I think I'm just going to grab Kahira here. I don't see a reason for me to kind of overextend. Because I still want to draw a white source for Ephemerate. So I think I'm just going to get Kahira and pass. Because I just want to draw a land, play Omnath, right? That's just kind of what I'm looking to do. Yeah, I don't think they have Blood Moon, because they fetched out the Ketria Triome, which means they would just have 2 mountains in play. And I know that they want to have the green for Violent Outburst, and then a green and an island for Shardless Agent. So I don't think they're going to turn 3 Moon us here, because that would hurt them as much as it hurts us. So I think we may just pass here. Or they're just going to pass here. So they probably have a Violent Outburst. Solitude's fantastic. That's a pretty fun one. I think here I will go ahead and throw out this Flamekin Harbinger. Guy is the guy who you beat last night at an LGS with 5 color violet elementals in chat. Not sure. Oh, that makes me happy. I appreciate y'all that watch. That makes me super duper happy that people find value out of what I'm doing. I'll grab Reef here. I don't like it a ton. Because I'm worried. I am worried a little bit about Blood Moon still. And I do just want to draw the lands for Omnath, but I think Reef is going to be a good way to get us to the lands that we want, because then I can just kind of ephemerate or evoke in Fury or Solitude, and then just try to hope I hit the white source for Ephemerate, I guess. Yeah, there's the Violent Outburst, and they did fetch out the Forest here. That's a little nervous here, because that means they could just untap, go Blood Moon, and if they untap, go Blood Moon, we're in trouble. Because then they have the mana for sequential Horde Violent Outbursts. Or, yeah, there's the islands. No Blood Moon. No Moon. Okay, no Blood Moon's fantastic. So we do get to actually cast the Risen Reef here. Okay, so we're gonna get at least one draw off of the Reef here. Let's see if it's good. If we can get a white source, then we can really go off. We can answer all of the rhinos, which is fantastic. Hit a white source, please. White source. Technically speaking, Cavern's a white source, I suppose. I say, let's put it into play. Let's name Elemental here. I could just cast the Fury. Like, I think we may also just be at a point where I Fury with one Omnath and I Solitude with the other. I think we may also just be at that point now. So I'm just going to do that here. Let's just evoke off this Fury, because I want to try to hit more lands, and then maybe we can set up a pretty good Omnath turn here in the future. Okay, second Solitude isn't awful either. So we still have things we can do, even if they do kind of Blood Moon us next turn. That's just what I'm most nervous about. I'm just really nervous that I'm just going to go... They're just going to go untap Blood Moon, and we're just going to be in so much trouble. Oh, God. Do they have a second Violent Outburst here? If they have a second Violent Outburst, we may just be dead. Or no, if they had stomped, they just would have stomped the Reef now. Like, there's no reason they would have let us get all that value. No, they sure are. I'm going to pitch Kahira here. I'm just going to get more value off of this Reef. There's no reason for me not to. Zero reason for me not to just get all the value off of this Risen Reef. Because I want to keep this Solitude just in case, and then Ephemerate's going to be great if we can get the land for it. Okay, another Fury. We are also just one any land away from just hard casting Fury and Solitude, which is going to be pretty solid as well. I'm also cool getting rid of Kahira here, just because we don't have a Thunderkin Awakener, so we're not really going to be making the best use of Kahira, and we can't cast it. We're not even close to casting it. We would need 2 more lands. So they don't have Violent Outburst, because they would have cast that, because that would have been pretty much lethal. We could see a Shardless Agent here, and it looks like that's what we're going to see here is the Shardless Agent. So they're going to get some more Rhinos. We didn't see any of our Chalices either game, so that's a little frustrating. But again, we just need to got to get our white source here, and Fury can... And Solitude or Fury can really start getting after it. Okay, there is the white source here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just hard cast this Omnath. Omnath seems like a pretty solid play here. They don't have Stomp. They don't have anything that can really answer this. So we get to gain some life and do a lot of fun Omnath shenanigans here as well, which we love. Okay, and there's another Ephemerate. Let's go Windswept Heath. We'll gain 4 life. Let's crack the Windswept Heath here. I'm going to get a Plains because I like the fact that we have the mana to do things with. So let's get the Plains for Ephemerate. Now, I could just cast Solitude here. And that may just be the move here, is to just cast Solitude. Because if we cast Solitude, we can just Ephemerate it next turn. Right? We can block that Shardless Agent. I think I'm just going to do that. Like, let's just hard cast it here. And then I still have 4 mana to cast Fury. Like, I can cast Fury through a Blood Moon now. I can cast... Now that I have the Plains, I'm not feeling super bad here. And I'll just pass the turn here. And now we just have a ton of Ephemerate fodder that we can use. Any land, like lands are super gas now. I feel like we're close to stabilizing. We're very close. We're not quite there, but we are close. Not quite out of the weeds. We just gotta hope they keep bricking a little bit and just draw lands, kind of like they are now. Just don't really have a lot to do. If they just keep drawing lands and they're like kind of quasi interaction, we won't be feeling too bad. So that'll be the question. Do we just want to Ephemerate Solitude, hit another Rhino? Or do we want to try to, like, do Fury and Ephemerate? It's going to depend on if we draw a land. If we draw a land, we'll hard cast Fury and then Ephemerate Fury. And then we'll be able to clean up the board pretty nicely, which feels good. If we don't get to do that and we draw, like, say, a Risen Reef or something, that complicates things a little bit. I mean, it doesn't. We're going to play the Risen Reef, but you know what I mean. Is this the Blood Moon? Oh, they have an Anger of the Gods, huh? Anger's rough. That's not great. It does leave our Omnath alive. And if they want to attack, I'm tempted to... No. That's stupid. I should not block. Keep that alive. That'll allow us to hopefully get some more good value off of it. But let's just see here. Draw something. Primal Beyond. Okay. I think I'm just going to play Primal Beyond. I'll reveal Fury. We'll gain 4 life. That's the big thing here, is that we just get to gain all of this life. We do have to be worried about our clock here a little bit, and we get to hold up double Ephemerate. That just feels so good. And we'll donk down a Rhino. And now we hopefully get to turn the corner here and start attacking in. Is this a mountain? It is a mountain. So they could have a Violent Outburst here. They don't, which is fantastic. Good news is Stomp does not kill Fury. Doesn't kill Omnath either. Anger does kill Fury, which is pretty bad, but we saw them just use it. Okay, there's a Brazen... Oh, there's casting a Brazen Borrower. I'm going to say fine here. I'm going to say that's cool. Because the problem is, if they have Force Negation, they could still cast it on our turn. I'm fine taking 3 here. And let's see them cast the Bone Crusher Giant. And once they cast the Bone Crusher Giant, then I'll Ephemerate Fury and get a sweet 2-for-1 here. No, they're still just going to pass the turn here. So I have no reason to go in. Okay, Cavern of Souls is, that is a card that gains us 4 life. So, might as well, right? And we'll continue to name Elemental because we're out of cats. So, we'll just gain 4 more life. We're really stabilizing here, which I love. We're also at a point where I may just instep Ephemerate Omnath just to draw a card, right? Like, we're kind of getting to that point, too. So, we're hitting them for 10 here. Our clock is very fast. Oh, they have a Crashing Footfalls here. Or a Violent Out. What do they got here? Paying for card. Do they have a Delve spell? Okay, they just have the Violent Outburst. Sure. And they're going to cast a Crashing Footfalls. I'll just go ahead and let them declare blocks here. Like, I'll let them declare blocks, because if they go to block the Fury, we do get to get that sweet first strike damage in. Okay, sweet. They don't block Fury, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let first strike damage happen. Send them down to 19. Then I will Ephemerate Fury. And I'm going to save the Omnath here. Or I could just Ephemerate the Omnath. No, that's silly. We're going to Ephemerate the Fury here. We're going to save our Omnath. And if not, if they want to force of negation this, they do. They want to force negation the Ephemerate. No, they're going to petty theft it. Gross. We're actually, I'm not too mad at that, honestly. I still get to clean up the rhinos here, which is fun. Like, it's not perf, but it is something. And we're worried about our clock now, and unfortunately, all of our cards do the weird put mana in the bottom right-hand corner, which feels very bad. So we're just going to donk down a rhino here. So that was a pretty good use of their time here. They got to kind of kill some of our friends. If we get to untap with this Fury, that's going to feel really nice, because then if I Ephemerate the Fury, we'll get to hit down like a Bone Crusher Giant. I see they're still holding off on casting that Bone Crusher Giant, which makes sense. But like, let's just see him cast the Bone Crusher Giant, then an Ephemerated Fury kills both of them. Or if I just attack and they want to block with it, that's cool too. Like, I'm not super worried about anything like that. I am a little worried we're just going to start drawing lands, though. Like, we need to draw some action. There's a Bone Crusher Giant, and they do have the ability to cast their Brazen Borrower here. There's a Grief. That feels really good. So let's just do black and one of any color. And we're just going to do... We need to be mindful of our clock, because we need to win in 3 minutes. So I'm going to maybe talk a little bit less. And we get to have Ephemerate for this Fury if they want to try to go removal spell in response. If they want to subtlety the Grief, fine. I'll put it back on top. I actually may put it on the bottom. They're going to cast Endurance. Sure. Endurance is pretty good. Oh, they're going to choose themselves and put all the Crashing Footfalls on the bottom. That's gross. Okay, we'll take the Fire Ice out of their hand. Let's go to combat. I will attack with the Bone Crusher Giant. We get to kill whatever they put in front of it. I mean, if they put Endurance in front of it, that's the smart move, right? Actually, it's not, because then I'll kill both of their things. So let's see how they block here. And if they don't, cool. Free 6 damage, which we love. And then I think I'm going to kill Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Borrower here. Sweet. So let's do this. First strike damage. I will Ephemerate the Fury. Yes, I did. I just recently became a judge, which is super fun. I've been judging up at my local game store. It's been super great. Miss me in Legacy. You're too kind. I miss y'all too, Lan. Like, I love playing Paper Legacy. Hopefully one day soon we will get to do that again. One day soon. And then the good news is we get to Ephemerate the Fury again here, so we get to knock down a Brazen Borrower. Oh, they do just have the second one that they can just cast here, so maybe I don't. Maybe I don't even cast this Ephemerate. Because I think the clock's going to kill us before their damage does, but I guess I don't want to give them 6 in the air. So, because that clock is a lot faster than ours. So I will Ephemerate the Fury here and just knock out this Brazen Borrower. Okay, Thunderkin is really solid here. Let's just... Yeah, I hate having to just click through everything 10,000 times. That does not feel great. And we'll attack in. Get back a Reef, and that's actually huge. We may actually get something solid here. Foundation Breaker's pretty cool. We do need the Forest if they want to go Blood Moon here. I think I'm just going to cast this now. I see no reason not to. It does speed up our clock a little bit. Oh, I get to no targets. Okay, Chalice. Cast Chalice. There we go. That feels really good. And then we'll just do some F6 in here. There's no more rhinos in our future, thankfully. They do have a Brazen Borrower. Good news, Brazen Borrower can't actually block anything here because it only blocks flyers. And I think our clock is now faster than theirs. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Actually, there's no reason for me to cast this other than deal 1 extra damage. And I think I should just wait to get my Reef back. So let's just donk in here. Reflecting Pool, put it into play tapped. We're going to donk them here. They're at 11. Oh my god, I missed lethal. I'm a dummy. I'm a full dummy. Oh my god, I feel stupid. If I lose, I deserve it. For not counting how much damage I have. Good night. Ugh. That's embarrassing. I guess the good news is they're dead now. And if they want to do... No, see, I was playing around Anger of the Gods. I was playing around the second Anger, because if they just angered us, then, like, we have the Thunderkin in our hand to play next turn. We'll just pretend that that's what I was going for. So we're currently 2-0. Something I do want to point out is, so right there we were missing the white for Ephemerate for quite a while in that game. We had double Ephemerate. We're fortunate that this deck kind of required the fast start with the rhinos, and once you kind of slow them down, they're really having to struggle to get back into the game. We could have lost because of just our mana there, but besides that, I really liked how smooth our mana was otherwise. Like, we were able to cast everything when we drew it. There was no, oh, we don't have the black, we need to cast Grief. Oh, we don't have the colors for Omnath, right? Like, we were pretty easily able to cast our spells on curve still, which is what I really like about this deck. And every now and again, you draw Primal Beyond, Triple Cavern, right? And you're not able to Ephemerate, but I think that's the price you got to pay for doing 5 colors of mana and not just run all the tribal spells. You know, one of the things I really liked about the the 5-color Vial list before Modern Horizons, it was just like a 5-color deck and your mana was just perfect. Like, absolutely perfect. You were never missing colors. You just said elemental every time you played a land, which was super fun. Here, like, that's the price of paying Ephemerate, is sometimes you're going to lose to your mana, or sometimes you're going to have to, like, not be able to do the optimal line because you're doing Ephemerate. And that's kind of the price you pay. And I think Ephemerate's that strong that it's worth sometimes losing to your mana, sometimes not being able to do the things you do, because I really like Ephemerate for that reason. When you shoot the basketball right over your hoop and your teammate is luckily there. Yeah, it's just a pass. Come on. All right, let's see how this game's going to go. Let's reveal Kahira from our extra deck. All right, this hand is almost unplayable, and this is a Lurrus deck. Based on the fact that we don't have Risen Reef and we don't actually have the mana to cast Lightning Skellemental, I think I'm going to mulligan this hand. And, yeah. Yep. Straight to 5, as always. Yeah. Oh, I feel so bad. Okay, we can keep this hand. I'm going to toss a Reflecting Pool on the bottom. I'm going to cast a Omnath on the... No, let's cast the Fury on the bottom. Or the Grief. Oh, it feels so bad. Should have kept the other hand, huh? That's okay. Let's just get a Regarian Triome here. Yeah, let's grab a Regarian Triome and we'll pass. There's the DRC. And that we did get the Solitude. Solitude's a nice pickup. I think I'm just going to go Thunderkin Awakener here. And we're just going to donk in for 1. Okay, and hopefully we can get to a point where we can just cast this Omnath. I really don't want to exile this Omnath. Oh, is this Jund? Dreadhorde Arcanist. Ooh, we may have to Solitude here if we're not careful. Donk in for 1. Makes sense. Let's draw a land. Specifically a land that helps us cast a Risen Reef. Then I can Flamekin up a Risen Reef. And that's a land that can get us a Risen Reef. So we don't have green yet. We don't have green or black. The Indicatha Triome produces green and black, right? It does. So let's grab that Triome. So now our Reflecting Pool, yeah, our Reflecting Pool now casts for all 5 colors, which is phenomenal. And I'm just going to get a Reef here. Risen Reef is probably our best bet. I do like the idea of getting Lightning Skellemental here. I just don't know how long for this world it is, so I think I'm just going to get a Risen Reef here. Plus, if we ever get a... especially because I'm starting to think we're going to have to Solitude here, this Dreadhorde Arcanist. I'm expecting them to go Lightning Bolt. Ooh, Abundant Harvest. Oh, an Arcanist can buy back the Abundant Harvest? That's disgusting. Okay, and they bend an Abundant Harvest. They named non-land, and they get another Dreadhorde Arcanist. Yeah, that's pretty good. Am I okay with them casting a second Abundant Harvest? That is... I feel like the answer is no, right? I feel like the answer is I should not let them cast another Abundant Harvest with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, but I just really want the card advantage of... like, when it comes to these Evoke Elementals, I know I should just have pulled the trigger here, because I imagine this extra card is going to put him way far ahead with the Dragon Rage Chandler and just casting it, right? But they revealed another Dreadhorde Arcanist. Gross. I just really want the... like, the card advantage of doing Risen Reef and then Solituding after the Risen Reef. Like, I either want to have Ephemerate or Reef in play when I do it, because like we are just going to be 2-for-1ing ourselves otherwise. So I would really like to kind of make it a 1-for-1 with like Risen Reef, or a like 3-for-2 with Ephemerate. So let's just go ahead and toss out the boy, our old Reef that is risen. Let's get a trigger here. Another Reflecting Pool. I will say no. And I'll put the Reflecting Pool in play. Now if we do hit an Ephemerate off of the Risen Reef trigger with Solitude, that feels pretty good. And I'll pass here, just in case, because maybe we can get some shenanigans going if we happen to hit Ephemerate off the top of our deck. If we don't, because I'll be honest, if they just kind of go to combat here, I am going to be tempted just to let it happen, because they have double Dreadhorde Arcanist in their hand. So part of me just kind of wants them to just like, yeah, like if they go to combat here, I think I'm fine letting the Abundant Harvest happen again. Because what I'm worried about is them doing Bolt, right? And then bolting the Risen Reef, and then Dreadhorde Arcanisting another Lightning Bolt to kill Thunderkin Awakener. So I think here I'm fine, because I would rather just go and cast Omnath, right? Okay, so now they have a Lightning Bolt, and now I am incentivized to try to Solitude in response to the Bolt on the Risen Reef. That way I can like try to hit an Ephemerate the Risen Reef. Like everything feels really good. Oh, and they're just gonna bolt the Thunderkin Awakener. Am I okay with that? I think I am. I think I'm totally chill with that happening. Like, that's fine. Hit me for 1 with your Dreadhorde. Like, that's fine. Ren and 6. Uh-oh. That's pretty stinky. Ugh. What do I do here? I have to hit the Arcanist, right? Yeah, let's try to get some value here. Let's get the Evoke trigger. Let's hit the Dreadhorde Arcanist, because that's going to be able to buy back a Lightning Bolt, which is really good. Grief. We can cast a Grief. that's a card we can cast at least. And they do hit our reef down, which is very bad. Ephemerate would have been just bonkers. Ephemerate would have been just out of this world good. Smoke Braider is not good. So we're just going to cast this Grief. We're just going to hard cast it. Let's see what's in your hand. They have Creature Instant currently. Dark Confidant. They do have a Kroxa. I'm tempted to just get the Kroxa out of their hand. But just getting more Dreadhorde Arcanists doesn't seem too bad either. Let's get a Dreadhorde Arcanist, because I don't want them casting 2 of them. And then I'm going to tack down this Wrenn and 6. Let's like put them in a bit of a spot, yeah. Make it where if they want to block with their Dragon Rage Chandler, that's fine. If not, we're going to hit Wrenn and 6 down to 1. Okay, they are cool doing that here. Which is cool with me. So, good news is Wrenn and 6 cannot kill Grief. So we just know that they have Dreadhorde Arcanist. Yeah, they have Dreadhorde Arcanist, Dark Confidant, Kroxa, and an unknown card. Okay, Kroxa's fine here because we don't really need this Smoke Braider right now. So totally chill. They do have the mana to escape the Kroxa. And they have the cards in graveyard to also escape the Kroxa. And there's a Dark Comfy. So yeah, things are not looking great here. Because ideally we would like to draw one of our removal elementals, but we can't cast them right now. Oh, Skellemental. Skellemental. Oh, that's a pretty good one. Let's do it. Let's Skellemental them down. And then we can attack down the Wrenn and 6 with Grief. They either, yeah, so we're gonna make them discard some cards. If they want to kill the Grief, that's fine. We get to hit the Dark Confidant, which we're fine with. They now have no cards in hand. They discard the, Abrupt Decay. We like that. Although our board is a little barren now, so that feels not great. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Ugh. I don't even want to grab like Kahira, because we're just gonna have to discard it to Kroxa, which feels bad. So this game might be over here, but they are at 6, and Lightning Skellemental is lethal, right? Like, any Lightning Skellemental just ends the game if they don't, because now we know they don't have interaction. So a Lightning Skellemental does just end the game at some point. And so does a Thunderkin Awakener, right? And we have 3 more of each. Although I guess Kroxa doesn't, oh man. Unfortunately, I think the game may be over here, because even if, no, if we draw Lightning Skellemental, they have to block with Kroxa. And if we draw Thunderkin Awakener, man, they had another Tarmogoyf. Oh, that's awful. And yes, okay, so we're dead. No matter what we draw, we're dead. Thunderkin is, it's not enough. It's not enough. They have to block the Skellemental here, but they just block it with Tarmogoyf. They block Thunderkin with Kroxa, and then we're dead. But we're going to go through the motions because it is possible that they, like, block poorly, right? Very possible they block poorly. Like, they just have to, and they can just put the Tarmogoyf in front of the Skellemental, and that's game 2. Yep. If they just didn't draw the Tarmogoyf, man, we would have had them. Because if they didn't draw Tarmogoyf, they have to block Skellemental with Kroxa. We hit him to 3. We still have the Thunderkin, and then they can't win the game with the Tarmogoyf. But now we're just stone dead. So that feels really bad, but it's all fine. Good news is we'll have endurances. This is with the Tarmogoyfs, the Dragon Rage Chandlers, the Dreadhorde Arcanists and the Croxes, Endurance is going to be very good here. Endurance is going to be a slam dunk. So we're going to bring in the Endurances. I'm cool bringing in Chalices too. Chalice on 2 is probably our best bet, but Chalice on 1 is going to be pretty good as well. But we did see them, they are running Abrupt Decay. Just straight up Abrupt Decay, so that feels a little bad too. So maybe I just bring in Solitude Fury. Because it's the fact that even if we go Chalice on 2, Abrupt Decay can't be countered. So that feels really bad. Like, that feels really, really bad. We'll trim a Grief here because they're running a lot of discard themselves. I'll actually trim I'm just going to trim the Griefs, actually. We're just going to do that. Let's just trim Grief. Trim Grief, trim a Horde of Notion since we took out the Griefs. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's Abrupt Decay, there's Assassin's Trophy, and there's Kolaghan's Command. So it just doesn't seem like the best thing for us to be doing here. We'll reveal Kahira from our extra deck. Alright, this hand is pretty good. We just need a 3rd land, and we are cooking. And I'm gonna slam keep this hand. I am in the weird spot again where we need a 3rd land. We have 2 draw steps to get a 3rd land. And I have Harbinger, right? This could be one of the opportunities where I think I may just go Harbinger and just go grab Smoke Braider, right? Like, I think this may be one of those times. Because if we get Reef and we don't draw a 3rd land, that feels super bad. So I think I'm actually gonna go for the Smoke Braider here. And what it may do is it may get them to spend some of their removal early on the Smoke Braider, and then if we get to land the Omnath, we're sitting pretty, right? Especially if they're low on removal. Okay, Overgrown Tomb could be a Thoughtseize here. It's an Inquisition, so they're probably gonna grab Endurance. I mean, if we're being honest, Endurance is probably the best take, but they may grab Thunderkin because they're scared of certain other things. If they follow this up with a removal spell, that's going to feel really bad. So good news is our Reflecting Pool taps for all 5 colors of mana. We will throw down this Smoke Braider. We'll get in for 1. And we'll get punished for it when they remove the Smoke Braider. Yep, they're just going to Renin 6 here, and then they kill Smoke Braider. No, DRC. Mishra's Bauble. Okay, if we get to untap and play Omnath, I'm going to feel very good. They bobble us. And there's a Fatal Push. Oh no, another Inquisition. Cool. Alright, it looks like we're actually going to get to play Omnath here. That feels pretty good. That feels solid. And if we draw a land, we can cast Omnath. Okay, we drew an Omnath. White, blue, black, or no, undo. White, blue, red, green. I hate that you have to click it. Like I'm announcing my intent to cast Omnath. Like, come on. We'll pass the turn here. That doesn't feel great. Doesn't feel great at all. I guess no, they already know about the Omnath in hand, so I feel like they're cycling Forgotten Cave. Are they missing land drops here? Do they not have things they can play? Interesting. Okay, second Overgrown Tomb. Shock it in. Here comes a Abrupt Decay, an Assassin's Trophy. No, a Goyf. A Tarmo Boy. If we draw any land, we can cast Solitude. That's any land. That casts a Solitude. And we're just going to hard cast this friend. Okay, come on. Yada, yada. Alright, here comes the Solitude. We're going to Solitude down the Tarmogoyf, and then we're going to get in there for some damage here. They're not F6ing here, which is interesting. Do they have something for me? They do not. They're at 14. They're running low on cards in hand. They're at 3. Feels good. There's another Inquisition. It doesn't get anything, unfortunately, for them. So that feels good. So we know there's not going to be any 3 drops coming down or any 3 CMC stuff happening. We'll take 3 here, and we're putting foot to gas here. There's a Wrenn and 6. They can Wrenn and 6 down our Smoke Braider, which feels pretty bad. And that's exactly what they're going to do. But we're just going to draw Risen Reef, and it's going to be fine. We did draw Ephemerate, and we can cast Ephemerate. So that feels pretty good. And I may just Ephemerate for Risen Reef here in a minute. That feels bad, but I'm going to Solitude the Wrenn and 6. And then I'm going to attack in at them for 5. And then I'll just F6 through the rest of this turn. Actually. Dang it. I should have grabbed Kahira. But I guess it wasn't good for me to leave up the Ephemerate here for Solitude, maybe. I guess I don't care about taking 3 damage that much, right? Maybe what I should do is... I think I'm going to Ephemerate the Omnath here. Or Ephemerate the... No, I'm going to Ephemerate Solitude, and then I'm going to... Yeah, I should have done that beforehand. I should have thought a little harder here. I guess I was just worried about, like, removal or something, but if I Ephemerate the Solitude... Okay, they did have the Lightning Bolt. That's fine. It's not great. It's fine. So I was going to say what I could do is I can Ephemerate the Solitude. Then I can Ephemerate Harbinger on my rebound and then make sure I draw Risen Reef. So maybe I should have Ephemerated the Omnath there. Alright, well we just draw a second one, so who cares, right? Let's just go to combat. Let's attack for 5. Our clock is a lot faster than theirs, so I'm not too worried about it one way or the other. And now we have the Ephemerate up if they want to go for like an Abrupt Decay or something. And I think that's just going to be the plan from here on in. Is let's just play super defensively, right? Like, let's make them have it. Okay, Thoughtseize is in the yard. And then they're probably going to name non-land here. Yep, they got the Bolt. Fortunately, Bolt does not win the game. And there's an Arcanist. Okay, we know they have nothing in hand. We know they have to hit us for 3 here. So the game is over. The game has ended. Because we'll just evoke out this Fury, and then we'll attack for game. And that will do it. All right, game 3 worked out for us pretty well there. They did mulligan pretty aggressively, or they mulled to 6. They had probably a pretty rough hand like we did. I'm feeling pretty good. Let's just run it back like it was. We didn't see anything super out of the ordinary. We didn't see any blood moons. We didn't see anything super wonky. Could have argued me into maybe bringing Grief back in, right? Because if we can Grief certain key cards out of their hand, that feels pretty good. And just getting the information is also really nice as well. But I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at here. All right, 3 lands. We have Skellemental mana. We also have Ephemerate, which is fantastic. I'm feeling really good about this hand. And we got the Endurance. We are pretty, like, if they Inquisition us, that feels bad. Oh, you know what? Let's be honest. We won the game because they cast 3 Inquisition of Kozilek's and took 1 card out of our hand. Because everything cost more than 3. Let's be real with ourselves. Let's not fool around. With Flooded Strand, I can get Sacred Foundry, which can help cast Skellemental and Ephemerate. I could also just go for a Triome here, but I think I'm going to save the fetch land because we did draw this Omnath. So that makes me want to hang on to this fetch land in case we just draw more caverns or primal beyonds, and then the flooded strain can really be a huge source of advantage here. Here, I think I just grab the old Risen Reef. I think that's a pretty good card for us to grab here. Makes it where, because part of me is also tempted just to grab Thunderkin Awakener. But if they follow this up with an Inquisition next turn and they hit the Skellemental, Thunderkin feels... Actually, never mind. Thunderkin feels great in that scenario. But maybe they leave up a Lightning Bolt in that scenario, so... You know, something. Something. Alright, so we're going to get the Reef here. I am just going to throw down a Flooded Strand. I will fetch here. Or no, I'm going to leave it up. I'm going to leave it up here. Normally, I just say, oh, let's grab the Savvy Triome, because that's just Sacred Foundry plus black, right? Or I could get the... No, probably Rigarian Triome is what we're going to be looking for here. Rigarian Triome. But I think I'm going to wait, because if they go for something here, I may fetch out a white to Ephemerate the Endurance or something if they like go for like double hand attack here. Just doing Endurance doesn't seem too bad. Abundant Harvest, huh? Gotta name non-land, most likely. They name lands, that feels... Oh, they named land. Oh, no. That was off of DRC. Okay. They get a Bauble. That feels very good. Feels very good for them. And they left it on top. Oh, no, they put Arcanist in their graveyard. I should read the little game log. It's right there on the side. It's right there on the side, Cody. Okay. What do they have in their hand? Because they're missing land. Or no, this is clearly just, like, you know, the pre-combat stuff where they do all their attacking, then they deploy their threats and play lands and things, but... I don't know. They got another Abundant Harvest. Like, they're churning a little bit. They're churning with the harvests and the... Huh. I'm just going to block the Dragon Rage Chandler here. Let's just get this off the battlefield. I think they were hoping to get to 4 card types, and then they didn't. So we get that free trade here. And then a Thunderkin can buy this back later in the game. So let's see if they play land or not. If they just pass here, I think it's incorrect for them to have Abundant harvested so aggressively. And then I think here we are going to grab the Rigarian Triome. Taps for red, white, and blue. Yeah. And then they could have a push up. Push would be not great, but Skellemental costs 3, so... Ooh, and Horde of Notions is fantastic. Let's name Elemental. And let's just try to get some cards out of their hand. That sounds like a plan, yeah. Let's just get it moving. Push doesn't answer this. They're at 11. Let's make him discard some cards. Okay, we got Abundant Harvest and a land. So it looks like they're flooded. That's how this looks. I could do the Endurance here, and I think it may be justified to stop them from recasting Abundant Harvest with Dreadhorde Arcanist. But, again, I want to save it. We can't Ephemerate it right now, and I kind of want to Risen Reef it too. Okay, Ren and 6. That feels bad. So, getting back a Mountain, playing the Mountain. They're going to donk in here. They're going to get to buy back the Abundant Harvest. Yeah, this feels bad. I think I'm okay with it, though. They're not doing a ton of pressure here, and they are just at 11. Ooh, Seal of Fire is actually really good. Yeah, Seal of Fire is actually super solid here. With Luris, it's fantastic. They're not going to play it, though. So, if they... Yeah, that's just the deal, too. So, huh. What do they have? Probably a... Is there a red-black spell at instant speed? I don't see why you wouldn't just play it here. Okay, well, let's go Cavern. That was actually a great draw. Let's name Elemental. We're going to play out the Reef here. And the goal is going to be, we can ephemerate if they want to go to remove it. We also have the endurance, which is really nice. Smoke Braider's fine. And then we'll just pass the turn here. I think I'm going to save this Ephemerate for when they target it with Wrenn and 6. They are going to bolt it here. How much do I care? I think at least a little bit, right? Oh. No, we're not close to activating this Horde of Notions. I thought about it. I thought about it for a quick second. We're going to get a bunch of value here, though. We'll name you, and then we'll get another Risen Reef trigger. Get a Windswept Heath. I'll put it into play. And then I could Ephemerate the Endurance here, and that feels really solid. But I think I'm just going to Ephemerate... Do I want to Ephemerate the Risen Reef? Part of me wants to, but I know then they're just going to downtick the Wrenn and 6 and kill it. Or kill it with the Dreadhorde Arcanist, and that feels just as bad. So... But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. No. No, cancel. Let's... Yeah, we have to Ephemerate the Endurance here. That just feels best. We still get to draw a card, and then they have to do a lot of work. And I'm going to leave my graveyard full, because I want to do Skellemental here. But there's a Thunderkin. That's why we don't do that. So, though they attack with Arcanist, they can just kill the Endurance here. Oof, that feels bad. They take the Thunderkin. Gross. Oh well. They're still at 11. That is also true, right? I don't know, because now they get to kill the Endurance, because they can just downtick Wrenn and 6, attack with Arcanist, flashback the Bolt. And I guess here, they don't get to buy back the Bolt, right? And then we get to play Omnath. We'll get to trigger Omnath at least once, because we have the Windswept Heath in play. I think that's just the play if you're the opponent, right? You use Wrenn and Bolt to just kill Endurance. And then you blank my Ephemerate as well. Although I don't know if I'm casting Ephemerate, even if they don't kill the Endurance. But it looks like that's what they're going to do here. They're going to kill Endurance. And they're just going to cast a Lightning Bolt from their hand. Okay. They may just go Inquisition here and take the Smoke Braider. That seems to be the plan here, so... Let's hope we don't, for their sake, for them, if we draw Solitude or Fury, that's going to feel really good, because they could have attacked Flashing Back Bolt. And then now they still have a whole Bolt in their hand, right? But now, like, we really get to kind of just do our little thing here. Yep, nope. And let's draw something really good. Another Ephemerate. Yeah. Mine as well, right? Mine as well. Draw a card. Risen Reef, pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and fetch here. I'm just going to get a Plains. Do it now so they can't, in response, do all this nonsense. We'll gain 4 life. And we'll pass the turn here. I don't know if I should Ephemerate to try to save this Omnath or not. I feel like I should. Because if they go Bolt... Because that's what I'm wanting, right? I'm wanting them to cast the Bolt targeting Omnath. Kroxa. That's bad. That feels really bad. Oof. That does feel really bad. Is this the world where I discard Risen Reef? Is this that world? Because there's no way for them to kill Omnath without the use of Lightning Bolt. Yeah, I have to discard Risen Reef here. I think I discard Reef, and that feels awful. But, yeah, because what they have to do is they have to, like, do Bolt plus a down tick, or do Bolt plus a Seal of Fire. And the good news is that they can't kill us both ways, right? Like, if they go down tick Ren in 6, attack with Arcanist Bolt us, I can, in response to the Bolt, Ephemerate Omnath, and then we're good. If they just go straight to attack, for the Bolt at Omnath, I can Ephemerate, and Seal of Fire can't kill us, either with the Ren or with not. If they just do neither, then we're kind of fine either way, right? Like, there's no way for them to kill this without a card in their hand. They have to have a card in their hand. And the reason why I'm going to discard the... no, I can't let this resolve, because then Seal of Fire gets to kill it. Okay, and then we draw a card. Reflecting Pool. That does allow us to cast Kahira next turn. We get to cast Kahira. I could block and kill the Dreadhorde Arcanist. I could do that, but then they get to kill the Omnath, right? Because then that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have to just take one here. That feels bad. I would like to get the Arcanist off of the battlefield, but I just don't think I can do that right now. Tarmogoyf. Okay, now I don't feel bad about ephemerating this Omnath. Part of me was like, I don't know if I should ephemerate this Omnath, right? Because then I can just attack down the Ren in 6. But now I can't, because they got the Goyf in play. And Seal of Fire makes it where this attack is actually super bad. So, let's cast it. Let's target Omnath. Let's draw another card. We're drawing all the cards. Primal Beyond, and card for turn. Another Reflecting Pool. Okay. Gain 4 life. We'll grab Kahira. Doesn't feel good, but I'll do it. Or we'll do it with the Primal Beyond here. So grab Kahira. I can play Kahira, but it just dies immediately. But I think that's actually fine, because it means they have to, like, blow their Seal of Fire on it. Yeah, it means they have to spin their Seal of Fire right now. Because I think the play here is they Seal of Fire the Kahira, they down tick Ren in 6 targeting Omnath, then they attack, flashing back Lightning Bolt, killing the Omnath. I mean, we drew 3 cards off that Omnath, and there were 3 lands, which felt bad. Good news is they can't escape Kroxa. They're nowhere close to it. Yeah, because, I mean, if we let the Ephemerate go away, and then they got to kill Omnath, we're still in the same spot, right? Like, we go play Risen Reef, draw a land, and then they down tick Ren in 6, killing the Risen Reef. So, like, that doesn't feel awful, right? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Oh, you're just going to let me keep the Kahira. That's fine. I'm not going to walk into this. Our life total's super high. I could block the Arcanist, kill it, but then they get to down tick Ren and kill Kahira here. So here, I get to just attack them for... Oh, do they have another Tarmogoyf? Come on. Oh, it's so frustrating. Let's draw Solitude, please, or Fury. Fury would be pretty cool. Nope, we're just gonna draw... I think it's Cycle Triome time. That feels bad. But it is Cycle Triome time. There's a Solitude. We can't cast it right now, unfortunately, because... don't have the mana. But we get one more turn, maybe. And Solituding. Ugh. This, yeah, we're in a spot, y'all. Okay, there's a Peat land. They're gonna crack the Peat land to draw a card. Yep. I am in a hard cast Solitude, which is cool. If we just gotta hope they kind of... Oh no, they get to start drawing cards every turn now. Ugh. They put Luris in their hand. Okay. Drawing a Skellemental at any point in time would be fantastic. They did uptick the Wrenn and 6, so... Yeah, they're not going to attack with Arcanist. We'll just take 8 here. Drawing an Endurance would be pretty cool. I think I'd actually be at the point where I'd put it on the bottom of my own library, but... Let's just draw Thunderkin Awakener and have it not matter. Yeah. Okay, Reef. We'll play Primal Beyond. We'll reveal Risen Reef. And now we can cast 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we have the mana to cast a Risen Reef. Even if... Or cast Solitude, even if we just kind of hit nothing here off of this Reef. Fury. Fury feels okay. I'm worried about them ultimating that Wrenn and 6, but I guess not really. It's a bit of a non-bow, right? So let's just attack in with Kahira. We know they don't have anything that they can cast. If they block, cool, we get to kill the Arcanist for free. That feels so bad. I can't even kill the Tarmogoyf with Fury right now. I'm going to hold up Solitude here. Gonna hold up Solitude. And I can cast it. If they swing out here. Okay, they did Verdant. Oh no, they get to buy back Seal of Fire at the minimum with that Luris. And that feels very bad. Thank you so much. And Antog Gesties. I appreciate your... Oh no, you're rating me. Thank you so much. Rated the party 8. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Does makes my heart happy. Okay, so we're playing 5 color elementals right now. We're in match number 3. This is also game 3. We're currently 2-0. Just took it. This deck is really fun. I like this deck a lot. We're in a bit of a tough spot here against this Jund deck. They're really like playing all the removal spells. And I see they're just going to hold up Seal of Fire, which makes a ton of sense. No reason to like slam it out right now. I think I'm just going to take 6 here. Oh no, did they tick up on Wrenn and 6 yet? They have not, so we have to block or we're dead. We have to block or Solitude. We got to do one or the other. We have to do one or the other. Because otherwise they just Seal of Fire target... Or do I just let them do it, right? Do I just let them... Because then they go for it, right? They Seal of Fire and then they try to Wrenn and 6. But we can't win on the crackback because they got Luris and Dreadhorde. No, Fury does kill that. Fury does kill... Yeah, if I... Hold on. Hold the phone. Can I win the game here? No. I'm thinking if I just take 6 here, they then on their second main phase go Seal of Fire, targeting me, down tick Wrenn and 6, targeting me, and they just try to end the game. And if they do that, then I get to, in response, Solitude away the Risen Reef. We just have 6 in play. We untap, we play Fury, we kill Luris and Dreadhorde, and we actually win the game. This is risky. This is... Let's see if we can Galaxy Brain this. Let's see if we can Galaxy Brain this here. Because now they have to choose. If they want to pop the Seal of Fire, they're going to target Kahira here. Oh, yeah, you know what? You're right. Fury does deal 4. They're trying to hit Kahira here. I actually think that's fine. Let's let it happen. Let's let them hit Kahira. And now that they've done that, I get to Solitude and get a Risen Reef trigger. The problem is, I don't know what I target with this Solitude. It has to be a Tarmogoyf or my own Risen Reef, and I don't want to do that. Yeah, it has to be a Goyf, unfortunately. Omnath is such a good draw. Because then we get to start doing lands. We get to start, hopefully, doing a bunch of other fun stuff here. So now we're at 5. They can recast the Seal of Fire here, which I imagine they're going to... No, yeah, they're just going to donk down the Reef. Probably play Seal of Fire. No, they didn't play the Seal of Fire. They could have, because they haven't played something back with Lurrus yet. I mean, I'll take it. Oh, Second Fury. Second Fury's really strong here. Can we... 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 and 3. I think I'm going to cast Omnath. I think that's where I'm going to start. Because I can evoke here, and if we get a fetch land, we'll actually be able to really start going off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so even if we just draw a land, cool, we gained 4 life. Okay, Flooded Strand. Awesome, so we get to really play out almost everything here. Gain 4, up to 9. I am going to fetch here. It feels a little bad because I kind of want the mana. I kind of just want to gain more life on my opponent's turn, but I think I need to... I have to cast this Fury here. I guess I can just grab a Triome. Just grab this Savvy Triome here. I get all the mana. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll be at 8. So that's only 9 mana. That's not enough. The 10 we need. So let's get the Savvy Triome. We'll get all the mana. We'll go to cast Fury. And we'll make sure it's uncounterable here. Just in case. Just in case it matters. And we'll do 2 to Lurrus. And I think I'm going to do 2 to the Wrenn and 6. Or no. Yeah, we're going to kill Lurrus for sure. And then we'll do 2 to the Dreadhorde. And now I'm going to attack in with Solitude. That's going to gain us some life, too. I guess there was no reason to hit Arcanist here, because they're either going to block with they're either going to block the Solitude or they're not. I should just hit the Wrenn and 6. Keep it far away from ultimating, because it is decently close to ultimating here. Okay, they made a big misplay not recasting the Seal of Fire. If they recast the Seal of Fire off of Lurrus, we'd be dead here. So they're going to Peatland, draw a card. What are they going to do from there? Good news is we have this other Fury. So they can't Kroxa here yet. Dothy Voidwalker. That's not bad. And we don't know the other 2 cards in their hand. Good news is with Fury just can't kill anything this game. Like, we're just killing straight 1 creature. I guess the good news is it has Shadow. So Shadow makes it where this thing can't block. So we're getting close. We can hit down that Dreadhorde Arcanist. Okay. Second Fury's pretty fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we're so close. So close just hard casting that friend. And here comes a Fury. I'm going to Fury the Dreadhorde and 1 on the Goyf. 1 on the Goyf seems correct. If I just swing in, do I win? I think I do. Let's just Alpha Strike here, and I think we win the game. Or we're very close to winning the game. Because they can't block with Voidwalker. They can only block with Tarmogoyf. They go to block the Fury. That's interesting. And then they lose. Unless they have a Bolt. They could have a Bolt. You got something after first strike damage? They might. They don't. Oh. Whew, that was a close game, y'all. That was too close for comfort. All right, but we're currently 3-0 with 5 color elementals. We're doing Grief. We're doing Lightning Skellemental. Yeah, those were some good games. I was a little nervous there. Like, we were a couple misplays on our opponent. They had some lines that they could have got us. I think the big one was them not killing the Lord first and them using the Seal of Fire and the Lightning Bolt to kill Omnath when they didn't have to. I think they could have more aggressively negative wonned the Ren and 6. I think that was a big thing. And then missing recasting the Seal of Fire was huge. Like, if they just removed the Solitude or removed the Risen Reef, like, one activation early, like, that's massive. Here's what I'm going to do. These have been some pretty long games here. I'm going to make a quick restroom break, and then we're going to jump back in with match 4. We're currently 3-0. Let's see how far we can take this. Here before too long, I'm probably going to add back in, if you remember a couple months ago, for those of you that have been with me, I used to have a little channel reward things to do cat cam, or like cat. I'll bring the cat on stream. I may have to bring that back. Now that we have new friends. All right, so we are on the play, and we're just missing the black source, and we could really Grief, Ephemerate Grief, which feels very nasty. We do have Reef, we do have Thunderkin, we do have lands, so I think I am going to keep this hand. It's a little wonky here, but we have a lot of great setup here. We just got to get 1 or 2 really solid draws, and we're just going to like feel fantastic. We need to draw either a land or a black card. I would honestly prefer Horde of Notions here. Like, if we just drew Horde of Notions for second turn, we can pitch it to Grief, Ephemerate Grief, and turn 2 is going to be fine. Right, like maybe they play a Dragon Rage Chandler, it's fine, but that's kind of where I would prefer to draw either a third land, a black card, or Lightning Skellemental. I know Lightning Skellemental is a black card, but I don't want to pitch Lightning Skellemental to Grief. I will, though, depending on what we're up against. Like, if I see Island Pass, I'm going to be more inclined to keep Lightning Skellemental, but if I see like a mountain into Dragon Rage Chandler, I'm going to be more inclined to do Grief, just because we want to rip all of those good interaction cards out of their hand. So I think I'm just going to go Windswept Teeth and pass here. I think we'll probably grab a Savvy Triome here. Actually, no. I think just Regarian Triome is just always the best bet. Okay, so they go Misty into Bobble. This is probably the Is It deck. And since they did nothing on turn 1, that makes me very inclined to want to do Grief if we can draw a black card here. So we'll get the Regarian Triome here. Can cast all the things in our hand to a certain extent. And, okay, they're going to bobble us, so they're going to know what we're drawing here. Okay, Harbinger's not bad. Harbinger lets us get Horde of Notions. I think I'm actually going to do Lightning Skellemental here. I think that's going to be the plan. I think I'm going to do Lightning Skelly because it sets up Grief, and then if they want to interact in some meaningful way, like maybe they have like a Thought Scour or something, then it's fine, because then that sets up our Thunderkin Awakener. So I think I'm just going to do Lightning Skellemental here. Maybe, who knows, maybe we get lucky, they do an expressive iteration for this turn. We'll just have to see. And we're just going to grab Lightning Skellemental. So we're getting set up in 2 different ways, right? We almost have the mana we need to cast Lightning Skellemental. If we draw it, we'll probably just pitch it to Grief, honestly. But it kind of puts the onus on our opponent. They know that we have Skellemental. They may just leave up removal, thinking that we're going to cast it next turn. And if they leave up like a Lightning Bolt or an Unholy Heat, doesn't feel too bad when we kind of get around them there and we cast Grief, and then we take the Unholy Heat from their hand and then Ephemerate it. Or they go to target it, we Ephemerate it, take 2 cards out of their hand, right? Like, that feels pretty good too. Or we can just get super lucky and they just go for an expressive iteration here. And that may be what's happening here, because they're going Flooded Strand Island. Serum Visions. Yep. This is probably the Murktide deck. This is probably not Is It Prowess. This is definitely the Is It Murktide deck. Yeah, see, look, they're leaving up removal. thinking that they're gonna that we're gonna skelemental them here. Oh, hello, friend. Hello, cat friend. I think this is little Yoshi, little Yoshikage. Oh, they're thinking here. Are they gonna see? Or are they gonna thought scour us on our turn here? If they do, no, they don't. Like, that's fantastic. I'll just cast Thunderkin and we'll just donk them here. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grief pitching this Lightning Skellemental. And we're gonna rip 2 cards out of their hand. All right. Ah, that feels bad. That feels so bad. They got multiple removal spells. I guess we can get all of the removal spells out of their hand, and that makes this Risen Reef really solid. I think that just may be the plan here. I'm just going to take Bolt. Just going to take Bolt here. I think I go for it. You know, like, I am just kind of throwing the Ephemerate away, but it does get the Holy Heat out of their hand. It is going to get it out of their hand. That may just be incorrect. Like, it may be worth it to kind of save it, but like, we know what they're working with here. They may just go Expressive Iteration. That may just, yeah, that seems to be the plan here. They may hold up Counterspell even. Could also hold up Shark Typhoon. Try to get a 1/1 Shark. Okay, there's a Serum Visions. Let's see. How did they put those cards? Put 1 top, 1 bottom, and then they're passing. So they're holding up Counterspell. Because good news is we know 4 of the 5 cards in their hand. So let's just draw a Cavern. Okay, we draw Reef. I think I'm just going to play Thunderkin Awakener here. And get him and see if we can get him to counterspell the Thunderkin. We get him to counterspell the Thunderkin. That feels pretty good, actually. Like, it does, I mean, it never feels great to have your stuff countered, but considering we're sitting on double Reef here, getting them to counter our spell in that way feels very good. Okay, and there's the castle. And they're just going to pass here. So they're probably going to go for a Shark Typhoon here. Unless they have just another counter spell, which they could have. But we're going to make them have it, right? If they have another counter spell, we're going to make them throw it down. Can also Shark for 2, I believe. Oh, snap. They're just going to Snapcaster Mage into counterspell. Makes sense to me. Gross. Feels bad. We'll get in with a Harbinger here. They're going to snap block that, which we're fine with. So we know they have Expressive Iteration Shark Typhoon. They're just going to fire that off. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're 2 lands away just from casting that Shark Typhoon, and that feels scary. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're just 1 land away from casting Shark Typhoon. If they do that, we may just be dead. Because they're just going to start making sharks. Ugh. I don't like that. Alright, let's go for Reef again. If they have the 3rd counterspell, then cool, you have the 3rd counterspell. Okay. Cavern. Put it into play. We'll name Elemental. Put the Breeding Pool into play tapped. Pass the turn. Okay, just gonna cycle the Shark Typhoon. I'm honestly fine with that. Like, if they just threw down, like, they're gonna throw down a land here. They got another Expressive Iteration. Like, I'd just be concerned they would just play it, start making a bunch of 2/2 and 1/1 sharks. But, you know, I could be wrong. Okay, there's the Unholy Heat. They're gonna get him for 1 here. If I draw a land. I draw a Lightning Skellemental. They don't have a removal spell. Like, they don't have any red up. They could have another counter spell. And if they have another counter spell, then they have another one, right? Not a lot we can really do about that. So, except the fact that we have Cavern Souls. So, They could be on Aether Gust or Subtlety or something, and if they are, then that feels bad. Okay. And we're going to get him for 6. We're going to make him discard some cards. That feels pretty good. What do you have? Do you have another Shark Typhoon? What is that? Oh, draws 2 cards with Archmage's Charm. Got it. So they go up 2 cards. They're going to discard down. They discarded 2 lands, probably. No, Shark Typhoon and an island. Makes sense. There's a Jace. It sculpts minds. Alright, we have no clue what's in their hand anymore. We got no clue. The Shark is pretty fine. Jace is not great. But let's see if they keep brainstorming with it. If they keep brainstorming with it, instep, I can flash in Solitude on their next turn and try to attack down this Jace. Grief ain't too bad. It'd be cool to get something great out of their hand here. I think I'm just going to pass, though. I think I'm just going to pass. I'll flash in Solitude on the instep. That pressures the Jace. Pressures the Jace in a pretty meaningful way, especially if they go to Brainstorm here. Okay, just Archmage's Charm to draw 2. Yeah, so this Solitude can pressure the Jace, which is good. And they're at 7. Like, us just drawing Lightning Skellemental could just be good enough here in a second. Yeah, like, if we play the Solitude and we just draw Lightning Skellemental, it may be worth it just to go for it. I'm fine taking the 1 here. Maybe they second main phase try to play a Teferi Hero Dominaria. They don't. Okay. Come on. Just tap for mana, please. Jeez. Shouldn't be so difficult. Alright. Here comes the Solitude. Can't be countered. We'll hit the Shark. They may have a Bolt or something, and if they do, they got a Bolt or something, right? Snap. Snap for Bolt. Or Unholy Heat or something. Yeah. I guess so. I feel like at a certain point, I mean, we don't know what they have, but I also feel like at a certain point you may just want to snap like the Archmage's Charm, because then you have the Snapcaster Mage that blocks the Solitude pretty well. Okay, Reef is pretty good. Let's play Reef. We need Reef if we want to start trying to scratch and claw our way back into this game. And then if we hit a land, we can put Kahira in our hand, which doesn't feel awful. We do. I'll say no. We are going to have to reveal that we have the Grief, and that feels pretty bad to give away that info. But I think it's worth it to put this Kahira in our hand. Because I think now we'll actually have the mana to cast multiple spells a turn, if we're lucky. Okay, Castle Vantress scrying 2. So they don't seem to have a lot of interaction in their hand. Or I think Cavern may be putting them in a bit of a spot here. So, yeah, they're just going to Serum Vision. So, I think our plan is going to be we're going to play Grief first. We'll use our Primal Beyonds and our Caverns. And then if we can Grief, maybe we hit a land, we can actually cast the Kahira. And then we're able to really start pressuring them. 5 mana. Is this a Fury? They just got Fury. That's gross. Yeah, they're going to hit our Reef. Kind of makes me wish I had Revelark in here a little bit. Like, Revelark getting back 2 Reefs. That's game over, right? A Fury of our own wouldn't be too awful, I'll be honest. Fury of our own. Okay, Ephemerate. Ephemerate is something. Although, like, there's no way that we, like... Okay. It is uncounterable. Maybe we hit a counter spell out of their hand. I don't know. See what they got. They got Bolt. They got Expressive Iteration. Does Archmage's Charm counter a spell? It does. It counters target spell. Well, that feels very bad. I'm going to take the light... No. Because if they bolt, they can't Archmage's Charm. I'm going to take the expressive iteration. Okay. This is a hard game state to navigate. Their life total's really low, but that Fury is very close to just like getting us here. I guess maybe I should have took the bolt here, because now I can't ever cast this Ephemerate. A second Fury. That's disgusting. Okay. And they left up mana to do all the shenanigans here. I will go for it. It's not going to have resolve, but we can always try. Yeah, they just bolt in response. And we know they have double Archmage's Charm, and that's all they got. And we're at, like, 3. I don't know if we can get out of this anymore. Skellemental's close. Unfortunately, it dies through Fury, so I think we lose here. So that's unfortunate. Fury, very proactive threat in this Izzet deck. Okay. Good news is I kind of know what we're doing now. I wasn't really familiar with this deck, so that's at least the small upside to that game 1, as we'll know how to better sideboard here in the future. Chalice on 1 doesn't seem too bad here. Chalice doesn't seem too bad. Endurance seems pretty decent too. They could be playing Blood Moon. I would not be surprised to see Blood Moon out of the sideboard. So maybe we bring in I hate bringing in a Foundation Breaker just because it's like, just in case. But I'll do it. And I'll bring in a Forest too. I think instead of Solitude, I would prefer another Fury. And then Chalice is the one that I'm kind of thinking on. If we can Chalice on 1, that would feel very solid. But I don't think it's quite critical enough. And I think I'm going to trim 2 Griefs here. The Grief didn't seem to do a lot for us here because they just had so many interaction points. I think our bet is just to hit them get them while they're tapped out. And then just like donk them with Lightning Skellemental, right? Or make sure we have Caverns. Because that just like didn't seem to work out the way that we wanted to. Like whenever we played Grief. Okay. 2 lands. We can't actually cast Ephemerate. I can grab a Smoke Braider here, and that may be what I do with this Harbinger since I'm on the play. Is I just grab, kind of the same thing with that Rakdos list, right? We play Smoke Braider, and either they answer the Smoke Braider, and that's great because that's a removal spell they won't spend on Risen Reef. Let's keep it here, or they let it live, and then we get to cast like a Solitude or a Fury or something. We just like get all this bonus value, right? So let's go Primal Beyond, reveal Flamekin Harbinger with the Harbinger. Could also just grab another Risen Reef. That may not be too bad, but I guess I'm worried about hitting my land drops here. So we're just gonna grab a Smoke Braider. Because this may convince them to like leave up the mana, right? Misty Pass. So I'm gonna just go to combat here. We're just gonna get him for 1. I do not see a world where we untap with this Smoke Braider, but it gets them to like spend the resources here, right? Like if they want to Unholy Heat a Smoke Braider, that's 1 less Unholy Heat they have for Risen Reef. Sulfur Falls here. Ah, I see. They're just gonna counterspell my Reef here. Just gonna counterspell me. I'm just going to attack in for 1. I want to play Reef, but I know it's just going to get counterspelled. So I'm just going to play out Thunderkin Awakener. Okay, they're just going to straight up cycle the old Shark Typhoon, which is fine for us. Okay. We need this Reef to resolve, so we need to hit... Okay, tapping out. Expressive Iteration. That feels pretty good. Although this probably means they, even if they kind of whiff, they're going to go land, and now they're going to kill the Smoke Raider. Yep, there's the Unholy Heat. There's a land. Coming right at this Smoke Raider, no doubt. No, hitting the Thunderkin. And there's a Cavern right on time. I could do this for extra damage, but I don't want to. I'll just be honest. I just don't want to. Just in case we draw like another good 2-drop or something. Primal Beyonds. Put it into play tapped. I will not reveal an elemental. I'll play Cavern. I'll name elemental. And we'll get in there for 1. So if they win at 1 life, or 2 life, I guess, like, you know, they live at 1 or 2 life, we know why now. It's because we kind of did some weird attacks early on. And then Smoke Raider did exactly what we wanted it to do. It let us get to a point where now, even if they kill Smoke Raider, doesn't matter, right? It let us cast our Reef, and now we're getting to pull ahead a little bit. Yeah, Cavern's fantastic. Sacred Foundry, not quite what I want. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I cannot get Kahira and play Kahira. So I think I'm just going to go to combat here. I think I'm just going to attack in. I'm just going to donk in for 2. I'm going to grab Kahira here. Play Sacred Foundry. Play it tapped. I could do it untapped, and then I have Ephemerate up. And Ephemerate would be very good for, like, Harbinger, right? Because then we can just go get Risen Reefs and things. Problem is, it doesn't quite work the way that we want it to, right? Okay, there's a snap. And they're going to snap for Expressive Iteration here. Yeah, they're really digging. Like, they're digging deep here. Okay, here's what I can do. On my upkeep, I can Ephemerate the Flamekin Harbinger, go get a Reef, and then I have the Ephemerate trigger for next turn. I get to make sure that I draw Risen Reef. I'm able to kind of play out my draws, and I think that may just be the play here, especially if they're going to just pass the turn. Like, let's see if they bolt the Harbinger. Yeah, they're going to hit the Smoke Raider, which is fine. Like, now it doesn't matter, right? Now we're just so far ahead. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Ephemerate the Harbinger. I'm going to do it now. They're tapped out. I doubt they brought in Force and Negation, right? So now I get to make sure that I get a Reef. I'll get to draw the Reef. I'm going to play the Reef. And there's a Thunderkin. Thunderkin's a really solid one here. And now if they, and like we get to kind of just do the same thing again, right? If they want to kill the Reef, fine. I get to, because I have the Ephemerate on my turn here, so I'm going to Ephemerate one of my 2 cards. I guess they're going to do it in response, right? I'm going to say, I'm going to Ephemerate Risen Reef, and they're going to go, cool, Bolt it or Unholy Heat it. I think if they just pass here, I'm going to choose Flamekin Harbinger, simply for the fact that I would like to tutor up something good. Tutor up a pretty solid card here. And I think that card is going to be Lightning Skellemental. Okay, they got 2 mana. Looking at the top of our library here. Oh, Fury would be a blowout to us. Yeah, Fury would be pretty good. Although it doesn't look like they're going to. Okay, so they're going to bobble, draw a card. We're going to rebound here. I'm going to target Flamekin Harbinger. Show me the bolt. No, no bolt. Okay. Let's get our Lightning Skellemental here. Let's draw the Skellemental. Okay. Grief. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So the play may just be... Okay. I'm going to bait something here. Uncounter... Oh, yeah, you know what? Fury just That may just be it. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we just Fury here, right? Because I always forget Fury can hit Planeswalkers. Yeah, we can just kill Jace, kill Snapcaster Mage. You're right. That's so much better than what I was going to do. I was going to try to bait out counter spells and do all kinds of shenanigans. You're right. I should just kill their things and try to win the game. They could have a Snapcaster Mage here, but I'm willing to do it because we got double Skellemental in our hand. Yeah, you know what? You're right. That's... yeah. So my plan was going to be to play Lightning Skellemental, and then, but I wasn't going to tap the Cavern. They would tap out to counterspell it, and then I would play Thunderkin, attack, buying back Lightning Skellemental, and I thought that would have been really solid. But you're right. That's just so much of a better play. And we have another, and now we have double Skellemental, right? So we can just kind of do the same thing again. And they don't have Cryptic Command mana. They do have Archmage's Charm. They do have Counterspell, but I think we're going to be able to pick up this game here. And Ephemerate is a very solid card here. So I'm just going to go red, black. We need to be mindful of our clock because we do have to try to win a game 3 here. We do have to try to win a game 3, and we're at 13 minutes here, so we need to be a little bit mindful of our clock. So I'm just going to go to combat here. I'm going to Alpha Strike. We're pretty much set up to win. I'm not too worried about it. I am playing a little fast and loose. Okay, what do you got? Snap. Snap can't block. We've already gone to blocks. So that's 8 damage here. Gonna bolt the... yeah, maybe I should have just played Thunderkin here. Maybe I was being a little too fun. So that's on me, and I deserve that. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and Ephemerate it now. No sense in waiting. They're tapped out. We'll do 3 and 1 again. Yeah, probably should just play Thunderkin Awakener there, and that kind of guarantees that we have won the game, but I guess I was just worried. I don't know. Yeah, that's the second time I've kind of missed lethal on something like that. And we did say if they won at 1, it would be because on turn 1 or turn 2, we like didn't attack with a Smoke Braider and just like didn't do anything with it. So, yeah, and there's an Anger. So, yeah, that could very well be where we're at now, is that like some early turn mess-ups could just lose the game for us. Although I don't know if that's really going to be the case here, because I'm just going to kind of go boop-a-doop-a-doop. I'm going to play Risen Reef here. We're just going to draw a bunch of cards. It's fine. There's a Reflecting Pool. We'll say no. I'm trying to be very mindful of our clock, because that's what's going to cost us the game for game 3. Cannot be countered. They're going to draw 2 cards. Sure, they're digging for a removal spell. Let's see if they have Bolt or not. Okay. Go to game 3. That felt pretty good. Anything we would like to change? We didn't see Blood Moon at all. So I think I'm not going to play around Blood Moon. I'm going to take these out. I think I'm going to bring in 2 Endurance. And then we'll run it back like that. And then if I lose to Blood Moon, everyone can make fun of me for saying, oh, they don't have Blood Moon. Okay. We are going to be on the draw. That is going to make this significantly harder. We just got to hope we have Cavern of Souls in our opener. All right. This is cool because I can Ephemerate Grief. But then we have no follow-up to that, and that feels awful. So I'm going to mulligan here. All right, 2 lands. We got the team here. So I'm going to keep... I think I'm going to throw this Omnath on the bottom. I don't really want it in my opening hands. And they're mulling to 5. Maybe they do have Blood Moon. They're mulling to 5, dog. They're going to Blood Moon me on turn 3. And I'm going to feel bad. Omnath. Okay. We'll play Savai Triome. Pass the turn. We'll do Cavern into Thunderkin and try to start doing things. Third land. Skellemental. Alright. We just got to get the third land now. That's the plan. Let's get the third land. And if we don't, I'm going to feel very sad. Get in there for 1. Feels decent. Expressive Iteration. Okay. Alright. Third land. Anything that's not the plains. Just any third land. So I can slam down the Skellemental and we can get going. Okay, there's a Bobble. Bobble and us. Pass the turn. Come on. Land. Give me the land. Fury. Fury is not the land. Although Fury's a good one. Fury's going to be good because we do have the Ephemerate in our hand. Oh, God. We're going to let them... We're really about to let them draw back into this, aren't we? Come on, land. The land. Okay, Reflecting Pool is the land. All right, I'm going to go for it here. It's not going to connect, but it's worth it to try, right? Worth it to go for it. We do have the second one, and we got the Thunderkin to buy it back. So they're probably going to let us go to combat. They're going to let us declare attackers, and then they're going to do, like, some bolt stuff. Yeah, Lightning Bolt. Probably a Lightning Bolt. Yep. We're actually super cool with that. Super chill. Not even slightly concerned. Because now I'm probably going to fall... Let's see. Do they tap out? Okay. Snap into Expressive Iteration. I may just go Skellemental again here because they're probably going to be tapped out. They'll have 1 land in hand. Or they'll have 1 land probably. I think I'm just going to go Skellemental here. Unless they... They could just be leaving up the bolt here. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see if we draw a land. We do draw a land. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to fetch. I think I'm going to grab Plains here. We'll play around Blood Moon, the tiniest of bits. And I'm just going to play Risen Reef. I think I just play Reef here and then pass. Now we have Ephemerate up. If they want to go for a removal spell, we can Ephemerate. And now we get to just start drawing cards, right? And we got 10 minutes on the clock. I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, fetch. Tapped. Fantastic. Let's make him spend a bunch of resources here. Another Expressive Iteration. Sure. See, Expressive Iteration's great when you cast the first one. It gets you what you need, and then you're done. But I guess you could also argue that they're really far behind, and them casting all of these Expressive Iterations is like allowing them to catch up. We will go for the Ephemerate here. They'll probably counter this Ephemerate, which is great, because it means that they have less removal for Skellemental here, and we're going to put them to 1 card in hand. So that feels really good. And if we draw a land here, which I kind of want to, I'll put Kahira in my hand. Oh, or Harbinger. Okay, and here comes the boy. Go to 1 card in hand, please. Thank you. Set Adrift? Put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library. And an Anger. Anger's a sorcery, correct? Anger is a sorcery. Do I just want to grab another Risen Reef here? Or do I want to try to go for that Thunderkin Awakener? I think I go for the Thunderkin here. They're at 9, and we're just very close to ending the game. Plus, we can cast Omnath, try to draw a land, maybe, and then cast the Thunderkin here. I can also just cast Thunderkin, grab Kahira, pass. That's also a plan. I'd love to see them like tap out for Jace or something. Okay, Archmage's Charm. They're churning and burning, y'all. They're churning and burning. Scalding Tarn. Okay, they got one card in hand. They have two cards in hand. I think I just go for the Thunderkin plan here. I think that's just my best bet to try to close out this game. Okay. Oh, they just scoop it up. Fantastic. All right. We are 4-0, y'all. 4-0 with 5-color Ephemerate Elementals. We're feeling good, y'all. I'm feeling pretty good. Some pretty tough games. I'm going to be honest. These games have been very difficult to try to navigate. So we're really having to flex our brain here. I'm sorry. That like came off as a humble brag, and I was not meaning for it to be like, oh, I'm so smart. But like, these have been tough games, y'all. These have been really tough. So I'm very, very, very fortunate things have worked out our way. And now watch, we're just gonna go up against like just like Living End, and just like Living End's just gonna like wreck us. Oh, that's what we played match 2. We played the Crashing Footfalls deck. So we played against Grixis, Crashing Footfalls, Jund, and now Is It. So cool. Although I don't know, man, like it really kind of you know how you can kind of break the meta game apart into like X decks, right? You're either playing an expressive iteration deck, or you're playing like a Cascade deck, right? Because there's lots of the different Cascade cards decks running around right now between the Crashing Footfalls deck, but behind Crashing Footfalls, there's also Living In. There's also that Glimpse of Tomorrow deck, which is very wild. That's a wild deck. Hopefully we don't play that, because we have no good answers for it. I mean Chalice, but... I believe they also run Brazen Borrower, so Chalice isn't even guaranteed to get us where we need to go. There's Ponza. We just get paired up against Ponza for match 5. Oh, that'd be not fun. But let's see. Let's see. We got one game left. We're 4-0. Can we get it? Can we get it? I think regardless, right? Regardless if we win or lose this next game, I think I have made a decent argument for Lightning Skellemental still running that package. Because there's been several games where it's like, we have to close out the game, and Risen Reef isn't closing out the game right now. We're just kind of dirtling. And, like, several games were won on the back of Skellemental being a form of disruption, or just as a finisher, right? As just a big beater. So, 3, 2, 1, and looks like we're going to rejoin the matchmaking queue. That feels bad. Just waiting for that 5th and final game. Oh, goodness. I look super dark in here. Like, let me open up the line. Is that better? Yeah, that's a little better. We can see me a little bit now. Okay. All right. Let's join this match. Match 5. Can we get there? Can we get into the 5th game? Okay. I was like, man, are we going to fail another matchmaking queue? All right. We would love to play first. That feels fantastic. Let's reveal Kahira from our extra deck. Unfortunately, we can't keep a one-lander, even though I really like the composition of this hand. I love that we have Harbinger, Thunderkin, Skellemental. Right, that's the thing, right? When you have no lands, the whole hand's gas. All right, Cavern Reflecting Pool makes me snap keep this hand. And I think I toss back... I kind of want to toss back Solitude here. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to toss back Solitude. Yeah, let's toss back Solitude here. I'm going to go Cavern. I'm going to name Elemental, and I think I'm actually just going to pass the turn here. I don't know what we're up against, and I'm desperately trying to hit a third land. So I kind of don't want to, like, preemptively fetch out the wrong thing. Plains Vile. This is either humans or death and taxes. Oh, Smoke Braider's fantastic. Let's just play Smoke Braider. They're probably not... They probably don't have a way to remove this immediately. So Smoke Braider seems fantastic as a turn 2 play. They could have Path, but guess what? Path is fine too. Path gets us to Omnath a little bit faster. Ghost Quarter here. What are they going to violin here? Giver? Yeah. Okay, even if they Ghost Quarter us... Oh, actually, Ghost Quarter feels really bad. Okay, they don't Ghost Quarter us. Thank goodness. I kind of just want to Skellemental them here. I'm going to be honest. I could also just go Risen Reef into Harbinger. And I think considering they have that Ghost Quarter up, I think that's what I want to do here. I think that's going to be the plan. Let's just go Reef. Because I'm really concerned they're just going to like... Because Reflecting Pool does nothing if they Ghost Quarter our Cavern. Yes, sir. Yeah, they're going to Ghost Quarter the Cavern here. So let's just float a red in response. We will use Ghost Quarter's ability. Let's grab a Plains. Okay, let's see what Reef gets us. A Flooded Strand. Feels pretty good. We have not played land for turn, so I will say no here. Thank you so much, Burlow33. I really appreciate you so much for your follow. Welcome. All right, so we got the Flooded Strand here. Flooded Strand feels pretty good. I can also just fetch out... I could fetch out a Triome here. Fetching out a Triome doesn't seem too bad. But I kind of want to go Thunderkin plus Flamekin Harbinger. Like, both of those seem pretty good. I could also just Harbinger pass here. Like, get the Triome. And that doesn't seem awful here. Let's just start off with Harbinger. Maybe we hit something off of the Risen Reef, and that changes what we do. They're thinking about Pathin. Do they have a path for this Risen Reef? Okay. Let us... Do I want to get an Evoke Elemental? That's the question. Do I want to get an Evoke Friend? If I get an Evoke Friend, I should do Reef trigger first. But I think I'm just going to go... No, because then I can't fetch with the Flooded Strand. So let's go ahead and tutor something fun up. Wait, did they fail to find on their Ghost? Oh no, Ghost Quarter puts themselves back in tempo. Cool. I'm thinking of Field of Ruin that lets them grab too. I could just grab another Lightning Skellemental here, but I'm worried we're not going to be able to cast it. So I think I may just grab a Reef here, but we can't cast Reef either if they kill Smoke Braider. I may just grab Solitude, honestly. Or Omnath. Or I could just grab another Thunderkin Awakener. Like, that doesn't seem too bad either. Let's just grab Fury. Fury seems like a pretty safe grab here. We can cast it off of our evoked cards. I'll play the Flooded Strand. Do I want to fetch out... What do I want to fetch out here? I think I want a Regarian Triome here. So I'm actually just going to pass here. I'm just going to pass the turn. I could play Thunderkin, and I kind of want to, but I think instead of me grabbing like a Sacred Foundry, which I don't want to do, I don't want to grab Sacred Foundry here, because then that just makes our Reflecting Pool only tap for one color. And they're just going to pass the turn here. Am I going to get punished for this fetch? Like, if they just throw down a Leonin Arbiter, I'm going to be very sad. Like, off of this vial. God dang it, dog. Oh, we're gonna get punished here, aren't we? Okay, Thalia. Okay. I was like, God, if we get punished with a Leonin Arbiter, I'm gonna cry. I think Regarian Triumph is what I get here. Lets our stuff tap for more colors. And now we are just gonna get to untap, so Skellemental is gonna be pretty good here. Why would they do that? They know we have Fury. They know we have Fury in our hand. We tutored it up. And we can cast Fury right now. Are they going to path this Smoke Breaker in response? But that's going to cost them 2 mana to do so. What's the play here? What do you got on my draw step, friend? What do you got? They got nothing. Okay. We're feeling pretty good. I think I may just Fury here. Like, let's just Fury. Let's wipe away this board. Although they get to Giver here, which feels bad. So maybe I just go Omnath. Maybe I just Nath him here. I think that's the plan. Let's just go Omnath here. Because we can still... red, and then I'm just going to tap a blue here off the Reflecting Pool. Oh, come on. Good grief. White, blue, red. Oh, I don't have green. Got it. I understand now. I'm a big dingus. Big dingus energy. Okay. And then we'll go island. Alright, let's do triggers like this. See what we hit. Flamekin Harbinger, that's a card we can cast. And there's an Omnath. Omnath pretty good too. I think I'm going to start with a Fury. I could just evoke Flamekin Harbinger with the Fury as well. Like, that's also an option here. Could also just go grab Solitude. Like, Solitude seems like a really solid grab. I'm really hoping this Omnath can do the things I want. So I think I'm just going to evoke. And I think I'm going to pitch a... I don't want to pitch Skellemental, but I want to keep the Harbinger here to start churning. But this Omnath is a really good card, and I don't like pitching it, but I think I'm going to here. I think we need to prioritize our clock with Skellemental Thunderkin. And we just need to, like, keep our pressure going here. Yeah, so they're gonna so they're gonna do pro red, which makes a lot of sense here. And we have the Ephemerate, so I could try to save this Fury, but I don't know how much good that does me, so I think I'm just gonna let it expire here. And then I'm gonna pass the turn. They seem to be way behind. So I'm really feeling good about this game 1. Okay, there's another Ghost Quarter here, which feels very bad. There's a Giver. Giver's fine. Okay, they probably have something in response to this Ephemerate, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Oh, I can't cast the Ephemerate because of the Thalia. That is how that works, huh? Okay, well, let's draw a card. Cavern. Cavern feels good. Let's play Cavern. Elemental. Our breeding pool is turned all the way on. Let's cast the Harbinger here. Let's do triggers like this. Let's grab another Fury. And they scoop it up. They just they concede to the Fury. All right, that worked out fantastic. We loved how easy that game went. Let's see here. Fury and Solitude is a for sure. Fulminator Mage ain't working. I don't think we need Chalice. You could argue me into maybe a Masked Vandal or a Foundation Breaker. For Vile, but I just don't think that's very good in this scenario, because it's just classic Death and Taxes, right? They're going to try to blow up my cards, they're going to do stuff like that. I don't know if I really even want to bring in, like, removal for it, so I think I'm just going to do that. Extra Fury, extra Solitude. I'm gonna trim a Grief here, and I think I'm gonna trim an Omnath as well. Because I want to prioritize the early game a little bit. Grief isn't going to be quite as good here because, you know, like there's no one card that we grab that wins us the game. So here we go, going into this second game. This is very slow. We do have the Skellemental though, and we do have Solitude as like a backup plan, but we gotta draw into it. They are mulliganing though, so I'm gonna keep this hand. We can lead on some Triomes tapped if they want to spend their early Ghost Quarters answering this. We're kind of okay with it. All right, let's F6 here. And who knows, maybe we get to see what their sideboard looks like for us. Okay, so they're going to lead on Vile Pass, which is fine. I think we'll lead on the Savvy Triome. No, they got something in their second main phase for us. Something I've always wanted to do is play like some of the 0 cost things in an Aether Vial deck. Like I would love to just play like I want to play like an Ornithopter or like a Memnite, or the best would be Dryad Arbor, right? Because I think you can put in Dryad Arbor on an Aether Vial if I'm correct. Because you can put a creature card, yeah, and like Dryad Arbor is a creature card, so like your Vial just becomes like a super ramp spell. Okay, there's a Thalia here. Thalia's fine. We're not super worried about Thalia. We are super worried about a Giver of Runes, though. So I think if they Vial in Giver here, ooh, Ephemerate's fantastic. Let's just go Cavern here. Or no, let's go Flooded Strand? Flooded Strand. Or Cavern. Let's go Cavern. Elemental. And then I'll pass the turn here. Because what I want to do is I want to be able to cast Skellemental next turn. And we can. Vial it in. Vial in your Giver of Runes. You do. Alright, we're going to Solitude you. And this is going to be a huge blowout. Oh, you know what I could have done? I could have just done the Flooded Strand anyway. And then once I Solitude the Thalia first. Right? Duh. I should use my brain. Because that could have really set me up, or I could have just played the Triome, right? So, that's on me a little bit. We'll see if it matters. It could matter a little bit here. We can just fetch out a Sacred Foundry with the Flooded Strand if we need to. So, I'm not super worried about it. Archon of Emeria. Each player cannot cast more than one spell each turn. And non-basics enter the battlefield tapped. Oh, that feels so bad. If that's the case, I'm cool. Wait, I can just Ephemerate this. What am I? Oh, they scoop it up. All right. 5-0, y'all. We got the 5-0. 5-0 with some Grief, Ephemerate, Lightning Skellementing Elementals. We love that. All right. I think they realized it at the same point that we did. That it was like, wait, I'll just Ephemerate I'll Ephemerate Solitude, I'll hit the Archon, and then I get to Skellemental here, and they have no cards in hand. Wow, look at that, 5-0, friends. We got the big 5-0. We love that. All right, let's go back to details. Let's talk about the deck, and then we'll get out of here. Look at that, we got the 1 trophy. We did it. I'm gonna be honest with, I mean, granted, certain things in this league were a little easier for us than maybe other leagues, but I was really like, I was getting a little discouraged with the Skellemental version, because just that 4-color version has just been the list that's been having the most success. So I'm really happy to have like a good showing with this deck today. Some big pros of the deck. I just cannot iterate enough how much I love this mana base. Like, this mana base is so clean. Like, we never really worried about our colors, right? Like, all the Triomes were great. We had plenty of opportunities to either lead on a tap land or, like, turn 2, go tap land, and then we just do the Ephemerate with one of our evoke elementals. Like, there was just so many opportunities for us to just, like, have the land enter the battlefield tapped or have it enter off of Risen Reef tapped, that we just, like, it made our mana super clean. We were able to kind of not have to think about our fetches as much, right? Because all of our fetches get all of our lands. We didn't really have to worry about it. And that's what I really like about this list. The mana base is clean, and we get to proactively use Ephemerate with Grief, with Solitude and Fury. Some changes I might make. I don't know if the 4th Fury and Solitude are both worth it. Maybe just 3 each is fine. Maybe I don't need to put the 4th copies in the sideboard. Maybe I can open that space up for something else, something that may shore up some bad matchups. But I don't know. Maybe tweaking the sideboard a little bit. But other than that, like, pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. That's just fantastic, y'all. We are so happy. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm stoked, y'all. I am stoked. So I think we are just gonna end it at that, y'all. And then we're gonna call it a day. For those of you that are here that are new, I stream every Tuesday, Thursday. That may be changing here soon. So be sure to give me a follow here on Twitch so you know when I go live. I would really, really appreciate that. And then otherwise, I think that'll do it for today, y'all. I'll be back on Thursday, most likely doing another stream, probably with this exact same list. So with that, I think we're going to sign off, y'all. I really appreciate all of you hanging out with me this evening for this 5-0. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their evening. Bye, y'all.
Got it for free with instant karma.
That's what I heard.